as the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's bumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Booner, Lukas Klotz, and Caleb. Caleb's joining the program today.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot to get to, fellas. Maxx Crosby, a lot of shit transpired today. Okay, a lot of shit transpired today, and it has to do with Maxx Crosby. He spoke to local media in Las Vegas. Hey, I'm not gonna overreact. I don't want to freak out. I don't want to freak out too much. But it was very telling what he had to say. I broke it down in a video today, and I'm curious what you guys think of it. And obviously, we'll get a lot of the chat what they're thinking of it. Make him a lion, all right? Make him a lion. Figure it out. I know we'll get into the realistic conversation with his salary, but fuck all that. All right, let's just get into Maxx Crosby being a lion. So, welcome to the show, everyone. I'm gonna play this clip here and get your guys' thoughts. Again, this was local media in Las Vegas. They asked him a question specifically about them trading Davante Adams, and they were basically did the team give you an indication after now Davante's gone, if they're going to tank or are they trying to win? And I've seen Raiders fans respond to it saying typically Maxx Crosby pulls out the Raider for life thing. He always says that. He had a different answer this time. All right, so let's hear what Maxx Crosby had to say about this whole thing.
I'm not here to rebuild. I'm here to win. So, I don't know whatever that means, but yeah, I'm here to win now, and wherever I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be here to win. So that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Hey, key words there, guys. Key words. He said wherever I'm gonna be. Okay, that's the only thing I heard out of the entire thing that matters. But what'd you guys make of Maxx Crosby? Just planting some seeds there, potentially.
Caleb, you go first. I'm gonna hop on my hotspot real quick.
That's kind of exactly what I wanted to hear. Being a guy that wants Maxx Crosby a lot, the only thing that makes it tough is this isn't the Brad Holmes way to go throw out an offer with a couple first round picks for Maxx Crosby. But
right,
look, hey. Like you said, Jeff, he usually comes out and says, Raider for life. I want to be here for life. And it's not what he said. He said he wanted to go win somewhere. He didn't want to rebuild. And that kind of looks like the direction Las Vegas is going in right now. Yeah, man, he has to be a lion. He has to. Everything about him. He has the grit. He has the Dan Campbell, grit. The motor, the talent, obviously. Look, I tweeted this out. If you go get Maxx Crosby right now, you're probably, I don't know where Vegas has us right now. We're probably fourth in Super Bowl. If you go get Maxx Crosby, you're the Super Bowl favorite immediately. If you go get a guy like Maxx Crosby to replace Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of player he is, Klotzy. He's kind of he's basically just Aiden, but he's got tattoos. I mean, that's kind of the effect. Yeah, you're replacing Aiden with a similar player. For sure.
The fact that Maxx Crosby says that after, and he and I'm sure you guys have heard it, but in case you haven't, when Maxx Crosby talks about Davante Adams, that's his best friend on the team, that's his go-to guy on the team. So the fact that he's traded, and now that to your point, you just brought up, he's been a guy that's I'm a Raider for life. I want to play in Vegas. I want to win a Super Bowl with the Raiders. I love the culture here, just the gritty culture. And then he started saying this, and this is one of those things where it's when there's smoke. There's fire. And especially when you look at Vegas. I mean, just over the time that Al Davis has owned this team, Al Davis Jr., you look at Antonio Brown, was there, traded. You look at the whole Jimmy Garoppolo situation, Davante Adams, Randy Moss, the players that have been there and then been traded away, it's not like they in their franchise history, they don't trade players away. So I think the likelihood of Maxx Crosby being traded away, it's definitely boosted up. I don't think it's a guarantee thing, but if there's going to be a time when Maxx Crosby gets traded, it's probably going to be this year. So it's tough to be lock it in, but the fact that he's talking like that, it's completely different. That's a non-PR answer. That's Max speaking how Max wants to, and he's already got the money and he's still not happy. What does he want to do? Win. They're not obviously not going to be winning in Vegas. Like, that's clear. They have a quarterback issue. They have an offensive line issue. They have a defensive issue outside of him. He's had no one to play with. Like, he's putting up all these numbers, and we talk about Aiden Hutchinson having no help. Maxx Crosby has had no help outside of Christian Wilkins this year. He has had no one out there. So for him to be like, wow, I could get out of here. I could go to the NFC, and so I could stop trying to sack Patrick Mahomes twice a year, Justin Herbert twice a year. And obviously, Bo Nix is Bo Nix, but eventually the Broncos are probably going to be pretty good with Sean Payton. Now you have a chance to play alongside Aiden Hutchinson. You can play in an easier division. The quarterbacks are going to be easier to get after, and you have a coach in Dan Campbell who's exactly what he wants in a coach. Not to mention, he's from the area. He grew up a fan. I think just the part that he grew up a Lions fan makes even more sense. But outside of that, the practicality of the Raiders shipping Maxx Crosby to the Lions works for both teams because you're getting him out of the AFC. You're not going to have to play him that much. And Brad Holmes is going to be, if he wants to make that next move as far as being active at the trade deadline, there's no better way to do it. So I think if Brad offers, like, I don't even care. If you give him 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby, I do not care because as long as you have Maxx Crosby, Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Terrion Arnold, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, now you just re-signed to Lee McNeil, your defense is going to be top 5 the next 3 years, guaranteed. So more getting the future thing. If it's on a player like Maxx Crosby, he is part of the future. If you get a guy like that next to Aiden Hutchinson and a Lee McNeil in between them, that is going to be monstrous.
Well, there's 2 parts to this. There's the part where is Maxx Crosby going to potentially be traded, and then we get into, are the Lions a realistic place for him to be traded to? I think to answer the first question, it's on the table. You need the Raiders to start losing because continue to lose, really. And if they keep doing that, losing as much as Maxx Crosby has been through it, this year it's just going to hit a little different because in his mind he's going to be like, okay, could I maybe join a contender mid-season and chase a ring this year? Or do I have to wait till this offseason to get traded? I think the Raiders, they're only going downhill. They're going to draft a quarterback. They are not just a quarterback away. They'll probably get a new head coach as well. Sorry, I don't think Antonio Pierce is the future. So they have a rebuild. They have a rebuild that they're looking square in the face. Mark Davis, as much of a clown owner he is a little stubborn, and he came out and said this. I have a quote he spoke to the media as well, and they asked him about Maxx Crosby and potentially trading him. He said, it's unfortunate today, but there's been so much outside chatter that is not true. It's not coming from any sources. It's not coming from anything. My basic thing is to never answer all that stuff because otherwise you get trapped in this black hole. It's just not happening. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Mark Davis. Okay. If Maxx Crosby looks at Mark Davis and says, hey man, get me out of here. I want to leave. I appreciate everything you've done for me. I feel like I've been a good soldier. I've given this franchise everything I've got, and you've rewarded me with a bunch of head coaches, inconsistent rosters, and no winning. Maybe they can fulfill his trade request if he requests out. Now, Devontae Adams requested out. He was there, a year, 2 years? And they gave him right to his best friend, Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. So what makes you think that they won't abide by what Maxx Crosby wants? Especially given how important he's been to that franchise. That's what I have to look at. So I think him asking out is on the table. Now, the other angle is where the Lions will inquire about him and be aggressive and try and trade for him. Okay, this one gets a little complicated. You look at his contract, and I looked at this. I didn't talk about it in the video I made today, but I want your guys' thoughts on it. So he's obviously signed long-term. He has a $30 million cap hit this year. 2025, it's $28 million. 2026, it is $24 million. And then in 2027, he's an undrafted free agent. So he's a free agent at that point. You know how many years? Okay, so he has 2 years left on his contract after this year. Do you guys know how many years Aiden will play on his rookie deal after this year? 2 years.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be paying Aiden Hutchinson, we'll call it Maxx Crosby money, until he's a free agent. So it kind of lines up, and they have the cap space now to do it. So you could make it work. They have cap space. They have guys that are young on rookie deals that will be up when he's – so you don't have to – they probably won't be able to re-sign Max if they do it. but you'd have him for 2 more seasons, including a half a season now. And him and Aiden would feed families, would feed generations. So it would be an all-in move. I don't know if Brad Holmes, he's built for that. He's talked about it that, overreaction right now is kind of, he's not a huge guy with overreaction, which I get. I do. He's more, build this thing, sustainability. Like, I understand that. But every year in the NFL, guys, is not the same, right? Like next year when Aiden comes back, you never know. Jared Goff could be out and get injured and the whole season's over. Like, you have to plan every year to year. That's just how it is. Not saying you go all in and trade away all your assets. But when you have a good roster like they do now, you can't just sit back and chill. Like, you just can't do that. You're basically, I don't want to say wasting a year, but you're failing to capitalize on I hate saying, I know Lions fans hate using the word window, but a window right now. Not that it's going to close anytime soon, but it's open right now. I think it'd be a good idea if Brad, especially if he asks out to be one of the more aggressive teams. And I think Max would be, the Lions would be on his number 1 preference list. And that would kind of give the leverage to the Lions and to Maxx Crosby. Like, I think Mark Davis would lose leverage at that point, because then it's like, well, Max wants out. He wants to go to the Lions. Even though there'll be a bunch of suitors, if Max, like, I want to go to the Lions, even if like the Bears or the 49ers reach out, they're like, shit, like, he wants to go to the Lions. So I think it's on the table. I know people would be like, oh, Brad would never do that. I get that, guys, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on like that angle of it. I just think when you're a GM, not that I know more than Brad, I'm not saying that, but at some point you're going to have to make these type of moves to take you to that next level. And with what they have now at edge, it's not enough to win. It's just not. They have to get somebody, and you can get Zadarius Smith, but man, and I know Dan mentioned a role player, but if you got a Maxx Crosby, the impact, like, you're in a Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs and you got Maxx Crosby on your roster, like that's a game wrecker. That's like a fourth quarter, need a sack, he'll go get it type of guy. I think it'd be a massive move. It's obviously uncharacteristic of Brad Holmes, but guys, I think that's a move that could pay dividends. I really do. If they make this move, massive.
History has a fun way of repeating itself. And what happened in the last premier edge rusher that was in, well, not Vegas, but the Raiders? It's Khalil Mack. What happened to Khalil Mack? Got shit to the Bears. What happened when the Bears got Khalil Mack? They had one of the top 2 to 3 defenses in the NFL when they were there. Obviously, Khalil Mack was the leading force. And then you have a quarterback with Mitchell Trubisky that's playing in playoff games. And if you don't have a double doinker that was on like a low scoring game, was a Khalil Mack was going off. Like, this is something that if Maxx Crosby were to join the Detroit Lions, it's impossible to think that he wouldn't make a huge difference, especially when Aiden Hutchinson comes back, but let alone this year. So Brad Holmes, I don't care if it's like, I don't know if this is Brad. Like, that's an opportunity, to your point. It aligns so much where it's like, hey, if there's going to be a trade that happens with Maxx Crosby, it's going to be to the Detroit Lions, and it's going to be pretty soon if it's going to happen, because the trade deadline's in 3 weeks. So I don't understand like why you wouldn't do it, if that makes sense. Even if it's 3 first-round picks, I really don't care, because as long as Maxx Crosby's on your team, that window is already built. Like we talk about, the foundation is here. They re-signed a lot of those guys. I understand that offensive linemen, they're getting older, but you just re-signed Taylor Decker. And I trust Brad Holmes' ability in free agency and through the draft, how he showed him second, third, fourth round picks to be able to develop this team. The Los Angeles Rams built this kind of scheme of saying fuck them picks, but there's a very different situation because their team was built through free agency and the trade. Like this is an organic team. So to go out and capitalize like this, that's exactly what you do to, like, if you want to talk about a dynasty, getting Maxx Crosby and Aiden Hutchinson on the other side of each other, that's a huge way of doing it.
Yeah, Klotz, you make a good point when you bring up that, Brad Holmes has done a really good job at drafting outside of the first round, second, third, fourth round. He's found, star players in those rounds. So people worried about losing these first round picks. We have the best drafter in the NFL as a GM. Look, obviously you want to have your first round picks, but those are going to be 29th, 30th picks anyway. Look, I think this is a move that has to be done. Like when you look at like the Jets trading for Devontae Adams, that was like a panic trade. That was like, okay, we got to give our fans something. Trading for Maxx Crosby makes too much sense. You just lose your best player to a gruesome injury, and you need to replace him somehow. Or like you said, Jeff, I know we don't like to use this term, or fans don't like to use this term. The window might, it gets, it makes the Super, it makes the Super Bowl harder to win this year without Aiden Hutchinson.
Absolutely.
So if Brad Holmes says, all right, look, I know the fans want it. I know this guy's from Michigan. This is exactly what we need. If Maxx Crosby wants out, I want to be super aggressive. That would be amazing. But like we said, like Brad Holmes, this isn't really his, forte. This really isn't what he does. But again, he's never really been in this situation where he lost his best player in a Super Bowl year. So, I mean, this is a move I would really like the Lions to make.
I mean, I'll just bring this comment up, and it's not picking on this specific comment, but it's something that I've heard a lot today, seen a lot on social media. So, sick argument. Nobody has drafted more Pro Bowl players since 2015. This guy hasn't given up his best ability. The thing that he's done 20 years, draft. And that's what you guys were saying earlier. Like, we know how well Brad Holmes can draft. He's elite. And honestly, I think I'd be more hesitant to give away picks if he was someone that maybe hit in like the first 2 rounds more often than not. Maybe it's like, okay, this guy can only hit first round, second round picks. Like, maybe I don't want to give away first round picks. He can't draft late in the draft. Brad can draft essentially anywhere. Like, this dude has found great players all throughout the draft. I mean, you have Brian Branch and Sam Laporta in the second round, Kirby in the third round, Amon-Ra in the fourth round. I mean, we can keep going. I mean, Ali McNeil he was a third round pick as well. So he's got a lot of versatility to him as a GM. Okay, so and I get in the first round you found Jahmyr Gibbs, you found a Jack Campbell. I get that, but with Brad, because of how well he can draft, you should be more open to giving away picks for a proven player. Because, guys, Brad has drafted a roster full of talented players. It's not like this is 2021 and we're like, we need those picks, guys. Like, we got to draft players. Dude's got Pro Bowlers at every position. I mean, he's drafted Brian Branch, Kirby, Terrion Arnold, Aiden Hutchinson, who's hurt now, but Ali McNeil. I mean, he's got Penei Sewell. Like, he's drafted a lot of damn good players, So I think at this point, October 17th, I'm more open to trading away picks because of how well he's done. Like Sam Laporte, another one. He's got all these guys now. I'm more open to giving away a pick. So I understand the point that sick argument others are making, but that's where I'm at with it, guys. I think you would agree with that based on what you're saying. Like, he's so good at drafting. You're able to do things like this, not trade away every single draft pick you have. But if you want to give up a first, 2 firsts, like, I'm comfortable with it. Like, I am. Brad's going to find a Pro Bowler in the second round. He just is. You're going to get a better player in the second round than most teams will get in the first round. That's just the reality. So I've been seeing a lot of that. People, Brad would never give away picks. Guys, at some point, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to give away picks for a proven player. Every GM has done that in the history. Even Brett Veach, the Chiefs. Chiefs are very good at drafting. They trade for players too. That's just how it works. Like, everyone does it. It's not like Brad's never going to make a trade and never give away a draft pick. He's going to do that. Obviously, he did it last year with DPJ, but I'm talking about more of a significant move without going all in. Like, I'm not saying trade away freaking 7 picks, 2 first rounders. I know it's expensive, but the player you're getting, he'll be better than. I mean, if you find a Maxx Crosby in the first round the next 2 years, God bless you. I mean, honestly, he is. He's different.
And it's not like this is going to be a continuous thing like the Rams did, trading all their first round picks to get their Super Bowl. This opportunity that you have with Maxx Crosby, it's different. It's different than any other situation. Like, we heard talks about, like Khalil Mack, for example, in the offseason. Like, we didn't need that at the time. But now that Aiden Hutchinson is down and a guy like Maxx Crosby is, I would say technically right now there's a good possibility that his name is going to be getting thrown around in trade things after the comments he just made. But yeah, this is just different this year for Brad Holmes. Like I said, it's not going to be a continuous thing where every single year they're going to be in every single trade talk for every player that gets brought up. But Max from Michigan, like I said, from Michigan, Dan Campbell guy, your best player goes down who plays Maxx Crosby's position. It's the perfect trade right now.
Yeah, and I mentioned it, guys. It lines up when Aiden's due to get paid, so it can work out to where you're paying Maxx Crosby, and then you can trade him again or just not re-sign him, whatever Brad wants to do, and then Hutch's contract kicks in. So it kind of makes sense there. It lines up. You'll be paying someone $20-something million, but it's worth it. Like, that dude's a defensive player of the year candidate. He's better than Kotze. I like Zadarius Smith. Okay, I do. But this is like freaking
even Trey Hendrickson. Like Maxx
Yeah.
Crosby is such a terror in the run game too. Like honestly, right now with how the Defensive Player of the Year race is standing, if Maxx Crosby got traded to the Detroit Lions, I'd be willing to bet by the end of the year the Defensive Player of the Year would be Maxx Crosby and TJ Watt. Like Maxx Crosby doesn't have a chance of winning it right now with the Raiders because their defense is just so bad. But if you put him on the Detroit Lions, you get Aiden Hutchinson's production. Maybe you may be with the pressures because Maxx Crosby led the NFL pressures last year. So that's a guy that can just do it all. So it just makes too much sense. Like I know it sounds like, oh, you're being a GM on Madden. Like these things don't happen in real life. I mean, they do. Stars get traded. Stars do get traded. Every player has a price, especially when they're not happy in their situation. So if Maxx Crosby's talking about it, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing people all day going back and forth about it. I'm seeing. Let me see this comment. Michael says Vladdy said he'd give away 3 first-round picks. Crazy. I don't even know, honestly, and I'm open. I'll just be honest. I don't know what it would cost. That's like a whole nother thing. I mean, do you guys have any idea, at least I don't even know what it would cost to get Max. I don't.
I'd say that, I bet.
Yeah, I was going to say probably that, or maybe 2 firsts, a third, and then Hendon Hooker. Maybe they need a quarterback.
Yeah, they do. I don't know. Like that's the thing. I wish I could be like, oh, this is what it would cost.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a similar trade, like a top tier defensive player being traded. What did he go for? That was like that caliber of player. I don't know.
Let me look up what the Khalil Mack was because that'd just be an easy first. So 2019 first round pick, 2020 first round pick, 2020 third round pick, and 2019 sixth round pick. So 2 firsts, a third, and a sixth.
And what was Mack at that point? He was like a defensive player of the year.
Mack was, I think, on the last year of his rookie contract. He's on the last year of some contract. But then he was like, it was a sign and trade, basically, which you don't have to deal with Max. You don't have to worry about signing him again. I would imagine, like, bro, and I know it sounds crazy. I'm with Lenny. If it's 3 first-round picks and you get Maxx Crosby, don't care. Do not care. If you're able to get Maxx Crosby, what more do you have to add to this defense? 3rd, 4th, 5th round. The cornerstone, they're set offensively. I can hear you with the offensive lineman, but you just got Kevin Zeitler on dimes and nickels, and he's one of the best guards in football as far as consistency. Like he plays every snap. Brad Holmes and people, let alone players, are now going to want to go to Detroit. They're going to want to win a Super Bowl, so they're going to be willing to take a discount. So I think the chances of free agency where Brad has been thriving recently and being able to fill the holes, he's going to do it again. So if you have Maxx Crosby there and there's constructional issues contractually, I don't care. Like that team's so good on paper, and the coaching staff that they have with Dan Campbell, even if you lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, bringing in a player like Maxx Crosby helps that a little bit more.
And I made a video. I'm trying to find the exact graphic because I wish I had it. And I should have brought it, but it just came to mind now. I did a video probably months ago speaking about the importance of having a good defensive line when it comes to winning Super Bowls. And I went through the last, I think it was, here it is. I got it. So let me just see this. And I'll even get the graphic for you guys so we can see it here. Make sure I can get this graphic. But basically, when you look at Super Bowl history and you look at defensive lines, the importance of getting sacks, it is important. Here's the graphic. I just found it. Thank goodness. So it'll provide more clarity. And I'm glad I found this because honestly, it came in clutch today. Here's the graphic. Okay. So I did sacks ranked by Super Bowl champions. And you look at every Super Bowl champion over the last basically decade. 2023, the Chiefs were second in sacks. They had Mahomes, like quarterback play, head coach. That stuff matters. It does. But look at the sacks, right? The Chiefs, second. 2022, the Chiefs, second. 2021, the Rams, third, right? The Buccaneers were tied for fourth, and they had Tom Brady. 2019, the Chiefs were 11th, but I think that was the year Pat Mahomes went absolutely crazy. I could be wrong.
Yeah, Tyreek was still there.
Yeah.
So again, there's other ways, but you get my point. 2018 Patriots, they were 30th, but 7 in points allowed. But again, Tom Brady's hard to compare. Like I hate using. I mean, Bill Belichick in that defense. So it's hard to. Like the Eagles, I would say are the anomaly because they had Nick Foles and they beat Tom Brady like that. If you want to go off that, okay. But the Broncos in 2015 first, the Seahawks in 2013 eighth. Like just to give you an idea of how And by the way, the Seahawks, I missed the E there, but you get the point. You see how important sacks are, right? And then 2023 Lions, they were 23rd, 2022, they're 18th. So that was the last 2 years. I did the Lions just to kind of, and I even added in there 10 more sacks in those years would have put them in top 5. So they needed a boost this year in sacks. So Aiden Hutchinson and Maxx Crosby would do it. Now they don't have Aiden, so it changes, I guess, because I wanted them to get a edge rusher with Aiden. Now they don't have Aiden, so it does change it. But Maxx Crosby would help fulfill some of that lost production there. Let me see. The Purple Prince, each bullet here that doesn't match Jeff's narrative, there's some miraculous excuse. Crazy. No. Again, if you want to go off Tom Brady, then go ahead. That's not something I would use personally. I don't think saying like, well, Tom Brady did it. I mean, I wouldn't do that. If you want to go off the Chiefs, the Eagles with Nick Foles, like that is, I mean, how many times does a backup quarterback just beat Brady in the Super Bowl? Like that, I don't know. Where are you guys? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? I mean, where are you guys?
I mean, no, you have to, especially when you look at how, even when you talk about Brady, Mahomes, those guys, like it's so much more important now that you're going to have a weakness at the edge position. Every quarterback that's going to be in the playoffs, except for maybe, all of them, they're going to be mobile, except for maybe Joe Burrow. But that dude just ran for a 47-yard touchdown last week. So if the Bengals aren't even going to be in the Super Bowl. Even guys like C.J. Stroud, they're mobile in the pocket. When you have a rookie wide or a rookie cornerback going up against like Justin Jefferson type of wide receiver, it's going to matter. I think we all agree that the Lions can still make a run to the NFC Championship game. But if you add a player like Maxx Crosby, I think we all kind of talk about a little bit like the Lions right now. It's kind of like Lions, think Packers on a similar tier. We brought up like the Houston Texans. I know they're in the AFC, but just for the sake of the conversation, losing Aiden Hutchinson brought them down to those levels. You gain Maxx Crosby without a doubt. You go above those teams, and now you're able to make defensive plays like you had with Aiden Hutchinson, and you go back to the top of the NFC. So if you're telling me you can put pressure on the quarterback with a guy that has Hall of Fame potential, Hall of Fame ability, and now you can go and lock right back down that Super Bowl run, and you can really win a Super Bowl, I don't care what the cost is. It's the Detroit Lions. You have a chance to win a Super Bowl. End of story. That's all. Listen to what you're listening. Are we mortgaging the future? Is it selling too much if we only win one Super Bowl? Like, come on. Is that the conversation we're having right now? Like, no, you make the move.
Yeah, winning. I mean, I'm okay with one fucking Super Bowl. I mean, are you kidding me? And Jeff, you just showed the stats. Like, you need pass rushing in the playoffs. And James Houston and Josh Pascal aren't going to do that for you. So go out, make Maxx Crosby a Lion, give up the 3 first if that's what you have to do. Let's win a Super Bowl this year. Let's win one this year. Because look, I'll say it. I don't know if you're doing that without Aiden Hutchinson. If you can't get to the quarterback in the playoffs, and I get it, the offense is going to take us far. It could take us to the Super Bowl, but it gives you a better chance with Maxx Crosby.
Absolutely, it does.
It gives you a great chance with Maxx Crosby.
The saying goes, and it seems like it stands every year in the NFL, defense wins championships. And without a doubt, if you're looking at the teams that would be in the AFC, the Lions, outside of the Baltimore Ravens, would have the worst defense there. So you got to do it. But I know another man that's going to be happy about this.
Yeah, we're going to bring in Boone in a second. I just want to bring up this comment here real quick if I can find it. Basically, ETN saying that it would help in the chat here. It would help Terran Arnold out a lot too. Like, yeah, you're helping out your secondary. Yeah, here it is. Players like Terran Arnold need a good pass rush. You would do him world of good. So I am with you. And Lee McNeil, these guys are great players, but man, on the edge, gonna need some help here. Let's get in Booner. Let's get Booner's thoughts in here. Let's go, Boone.
Like that smirk off your face.
Hey, why not get Maxx Crosby, huh? Why not go get the boy Maxx Crosby? Why not, huh? Why not add Maxx Crosby to the Booner path to go win a Lombardi trophy? Anyone in the chat that's saying no, you're a fool. You don't know what you're talking about. Maxx Crosby puts you into the Super Bowl. You're the best team in all of football if you have Maxx Crosby on the team, which I think already you're the best team in football. You add Maxx Crosby, you're winning the Super Bowl. It's over. You're not going to give up a first-round pick for a Lombardi trophy. You're a liar. I'm the one, me. You see me? And by the way, I'm yelling. I'm coming in yelling. I saw a lot of comments yesterday. Booner, stop yelling. I do what I want. I do what I want. You don't tell me what to do. But now listen, I'm the one that said the dynasty's being built. But if you have an opportunity to add Maxx Crosby to that dynasty for a first-round pick, you do it. Because Brad Holmes will build a dynasty with a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th-round pick and free agents. I'll tell you what, that man's built a dynasty without first-round picks so far, outside of Penei Sewell. So what are we talking about here? And Hutch.
Well,
And
Boone,
Jameer.
okay,
But he's added Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Yep.
Kirby. Like, what are we talking about here?
Here's the pushback question that you're going to get now, though, Boone. It's not, and you're. This is not a shock because me and you are standing on the same page. I agree with you 100%. It's going to cost 2 first-round picks.
It won't.
It won't. It's going to cost 3. You're mortgaging the future and the potential of the window being open. You can't do that. What's your response to that?
Hold on. Jeff told me, Booner, stop responding to the chat. He said, just talk about it on air. Michael Daly, hey, don't tell me to calm down. Why don't you get pumped up? Huh? Why don't you get pumped up, Michael? Why don't you stop being a deadbeat of the party and being the energy, huh?
Hey, Michael
fun.
did say get 5 first. Who cares?
All right,
So,
fair enough,
Michael
I'm just saying, people who say, Booner, calm down, maybe you should get up a little bit and get excited and enjoy life like me. How about that?
How about it?
Now, I was the one a couple days ago, too, that said, hey, I don't know what's going on. I don't think Maxx is going to come to Detroit. I thought it was like the biggest long shot in the world. And I had the conversation.
I was with you, Boo.
But what I did say, and I gave a caveat to it, I would take Maxx Crosby. I said, I think it's a long shot. I don't think there's a chance in this world that it happens. And same with Myles Garrett. I think that's like a dream. Jeff, I think I texted you the other day, and we were FaceTiming. I was like, dude, there's no way this happens. Like 0.0% chance Maxx Crosby ends up in Detroit. I found this video today. I come across a video of Maxx Crosby. I'm just like, whoa, there's no way Maxx Crosby said this. And I posted it, and the whole world said, Maxx Crosby's leaving Las Vegas. So maybe there is a chance. I felt like I started a movement today. I'm excited. I think there's a chance. I would give up a first-round pick for Maxx Crosby. We all should say yeah. And like it's a thing, and this is where I want people to understand this too, because I think I can be a player on both sides of this. I do think, and like yesterday when the doc was on, let me take this stuff off. I look ridiculous right now. I need to get serious for the people. I just want to be serious for
that's fair.
This is the thing. And the doc said something yesterday I disagreed with. I love the doc. This is where I think some people start to veer off and you lose me a little bit. The people that are like, if you don't get Maxx Crosby or Myles Garrett, you're not winning a Super Bowl. Like those people, you're dead wrong. Like you are completely wrong. The Lions could add an average edge rusher, and they would find a way, and AG would find a way to get pressure somehow, some way to give you a chance to still win a Super Bowl. You're not out of this. Like, that's the one thing I disagree with. Like, if you're one of those people who don't want to mortgage your future and you want to stay packed and you want to say, hey, let's just go get Zadarius Smith for a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick and we'll move forward. Like, I still have so much faith that they can go win a Super Bowl like that. I'm not going to be one of those people who are like, there's no way. Like, and I don't know where you guys, I might have missed what you guys said about that. I just think like we've seen AG like down the stretch last year. You went to an NFC Championship game. I know you had Hutch, but you had no pass rush outside of Hutch, and they were able to blitz Anzo, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell at times. Like they did everything they could to just try and stay in the game defensively and allow the offense to have a chance. And I think there's still that sense this year. Like the NFL is not that crazy this year. It is so wide open right now. And even the Lions without Hutch, you could argue, are the best football team in the NFL. So, like, you still are sitting there in a very good position to still win a Super Bowl without Aiden Hutchinson. Now, if you add a Maxx Crosby, you literally essentially almost replace Aiden Hutchinson. Like, that's what Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson or Maxx Crosby are. They're the closest thing to a Hutch replacement that you can get. You guys see what I'm saying here? Like, that's where I veer off a little bit to where I don't want people to think. Like, I think no matter what, this team's going to have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl, no matter what. I think AG will figure out a way. I saw a tweet earlier today that it was the pressures created after Hutch went down, and I know it was towards the end of the game, but it was like a quarter and a half. And even in game, AG had like they had gotten like a certain, like I think it was like I don't even know. I don't want to give out the wrong number, but they had like an insane amount of pressure created off linebackers and different blitzes after Hutch went down that disrupted Dak Prescott. So like in that, you got to think that was an in-game adjustment. Like as soon as Hutch goes down, okay, what are we going to do? Boom, figure it out. Now you start getting him weeks to prepare and hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're dealing with. This is that. I still think that, but you're lying to yourself if you're saying you don't want Maxx Crosby. And you know what? You're lying to yourself because guess who wants Maxx Crosby? And who wants some of these guys? Brad Holmes. Because I guarantee you Brad's already called for some of these guys. He's called for Hassan Reddick. He's called for Zadarius Smith. He's made phone calls. And I'm sure, and I can almost guarantee you, he was on the phone at some point with the GM in Las Vegas. And I'm sure he probably tried to get through to Mark Davis. Like, I'm sure this has happened. So for you to be like, no, dude, we don't. I guarantee you Brad Holmes has had this phone call and has had a conversation. I almost want to guarantee it. No sources though. Right.
Yeah, well, I want to bring this up to you guys, okay? And I get like people saying, and by the way, I was with you with Max. I always said like the only way you're going to get him is if he forces his way out. I didn't know that he would say something like he sounded
out of nowhere.
Like I told the fellas too before you joined. Like I saw Raiders fans tweeting it, being like, usually Max says he's a Raider for life when people ask those type of questions. Like it was kind of a different answer. But this is where I'm at, guys, and I would love Lukas and Caleb your opinion on this. People bring up the game against the Cowboys, and they say, well, they still got pressure after Hutch went down. Yes, you are right. Two things that I have to add for context, and I want to know if I'm off on this. One, the game script is already kind of at hand. Like Dak, there was no run game, so guys could just pin their ears back and go. You know, there's no threat of a play action play. You're not worried about Rico Dowdle at that point. The other thing I have to bring up is Dak is tied for 6th for the most sacked quarterback in the league. Like he's been sacked a lot. If you're comparing that success to Super Bowl, you're comparing the Cowboys.
Listen, no,
like that. Then I don't know what to tell you.
It's not comparing that. It's not that at all. Like again,
because you're not going to be facing the Cowboys in the NFC Championship.
No, you're not. But you do have to look like last year. Their pass. We had one of the worst defenses. Like the pass rush was not great last year. That was a problem, and they still were able to find ways to scheme things up to get to the quarterback and to get to be able to get to an NFC Championship game. Like AG was able to find different schemes to set that up. So like I'm not just giving the example of the quarter and a half. Like that's just me. I saw it. That was just me being like, hey. Look at what AG did in a short term. Obviously, it's a very odd situation, but we've seen AG last year, halfway through the season, realize he needed to make an adjustment, make a massive adjustment about getting to the quarterback with the linebackers and Brian Branch, and he made that adjustment, and it ended up helping out down the stretch. Like
but you had Hutch.
I know, but you have to think you had no one else. You didn't have DJ Reader.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
All right. Go ahead.
I know. I heard your point, and I get your point. But the whole scheme that Aaron Glenn is what? Either way. So the scheme that you're talking about with Aaron Glenn is still built around Aiden Hutchinson. At some point, when you're going up against, if you want to say winning a Super Bowl without Aiden Hutchinson, and you just go get a Zadarius Smith or Jadeveon Clowney, you're not putting pressure on Patrick Mahomes. You're not putting pressure on Lamar Jackson. You're not putting pressure on Josh Allen. You're not putting pressure on CJ Stroud. Even the quarterbacks in the NFC like Jordan Love, they're not going to have pressure. They're going to have more time to stand in the pocket and make plays. The run game, let alone within itself, like that whole scheme is built on stopping the run. Who's your best run defender? It's Aiden Hutchinson. And I understand that, like, if you're going up against Tennessee Titans, they'll be okay. I think that's a game, like, no doubt Lions will still steamroll them. But when you're talking about, okay, now you're going into Houston. Now you're going into Green Bay. Those are games that the Lions could have maybe be in those games, or they could even be up. But now without Aiden Hutchinson, I think to say that those – it's not crazy because
this is where you guys are going wrong. So like, and I'm being dead serious here. I'm not going to talk over and argue or nothing. I'm just being serious. I'm trying to figure this out because essentially to that point and to the point that you guys are making is if you do not get Maxx Crosby and you get a Zadarius Smith, like essentially the point you guys are making is that the Super Bowl hopes are gone. And that's what all I'm trying to say is that is not done. Like there are still opportunities. Like just because Hutch is out and you add a player that's not as good. Yes, your defense was structured around Aiden Hutchinson getting pressure. Okay, you're telling me AG just can't figure out a way to restructure this defense and find a new scheme to just find a way to get some sort of pressure to keep you in these games. You have the number one offense in the NFL. You have the best safety duo in the NFL. You have two corners who are starting to come together. You have one of the best linebacking crews in the NFL. You have some of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. You just have to find a way to scheme around without Aiden Hutchinson. This isn't me being like, they're going to be a top 10 defense. They're going to have the most pressure in the NFL. No, it's like, find a way to get some pressure to give your defense a chance. Like, you're not probably going to be top 10 in points allowed in the game anymore. It's probably going to drop a little bit. The defense is going to regress maybe a little bit. But guess what? That doesn't mean like the Super Bowl hopes are done if you do not get Maxx Crosby. That is the work. Like, that's where, and I'm not going at you guys, but hold on. Like, I'm not going at you guys. What I'm saying is, though, like, it's not 0%. Like, these guys are going to, this is a Dan Campbell team who have they found ways over the last 2 or 3 years to win with guys out, different schemes, like they have found a way. There is no way on this earth that if they don't get Maxx Crosby and they have to end up with a Zadarius Smith, that they're not going to have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Like, that is ridiculous to say that. And it's not Maxx Crosby or your season's over. That is not it. Maxx Crosby is a pipe dream to where if it happens, you are an automatic Super Bowl favorite. You're right back to where you were, because before Hutch went down, you were the best team in football, hands down. So, like, you look at this now and you're like, Maxx Crosby gets you back to that level. But without him, okay, Zadarius Smith, keep the thing afloat. Offense is the best in the NFL, and your defense just has to play decent ball to be able to keep you in these games and win a Super Bowl. That is not that crazy. It is not a 0% chance, as you guys are kind of alluding to.
Yeah,
no, it's not that at all. It's not a 0% chance, but I'm making up numbers here. If I thought the Lions' chance of winning a Super Bowl with Aiden Hutchinson was 50%, without Aiden Hutchinson, it's about a 30%. If you add Zadarius Smith, it'll probably go to like a 35%. If you add a Trey Hendrickson, it's going to go to like 45%. I think there's tiers here. I think there's Zadarius Smith, who's a guy that is good. It is good. Like, he's like, bringing in Zadarius Smith is a good thing for the Lions. It's a good thing. But I don't think it's, without having defensive end, it's like not having offensive tackles.
I mean, what you're saying is obvious. Like, there's tiers to it, for sure.
Absolutely. So I think to ignore, like, okay, there's tiers of this game. There's quarterbacks and offenses that we're going to have to go up against. AG can scheme at it consistently. No. I think AG situationally from game to game can put in some wrinkles. But when you're going up against elite offensive coordinators, that's a weakness. That's a weakness. That's
for sure. Can I ask you? I'm confused because I think we're saying the same exact thing. I don't know what you're disagreeing with me, because I literally am saying there are tiers. If you get Maxx Crosby,
because
it goes all the way up here. Zadarius Smith, you're here. If you don't get anyone, it's harder down here. I'm literally saying the same thing. I don't know where
because you're saying that we're alluding. You're saying that we're alluding that there's 0% chance that they win the Super Bowl if they don't get Maxx Crosby. That's what, and I'm explaining.
Yeah,
that's
what you. Well, that's essentially what we're saying.
I just explained to you what we're saying, and I think the three of us are in agreement there.
Yeah,
none of us said it's Maxx Crosby or bust.
Yeah, I don't think the season's over if you don't get Maxx Crosby. But I will say this: I will take everything that happened after Hutch's injury in the Cowboys game with a grain of salt. I know they did generate pressures with everything, but like Jeff said, they didn't really have to worry about the run or anything. Look, Aaron Glenn's scheme relied on Aiden Hutchinson getting a lot of pressures naturally instead of having to send, a lot of blitzes to that side. Hutch got to the quarterback. And I think if you go get a guy like Zadarius Smith to take over that spot, that's not really a needle mover for you. A guy like Maxx Crosby is. Maxx Crosby gives you the best chance out of all these guys to go to the Super Bowl. But I'm not saying if we don't get him, we're not going. But Maxx Crosby definitely gives you the best chance to take over gives you the best chance to go to the Super Bowl when he takes over Hutch's spot.
Yeah, we and by the way, I agree with you, Caleb. And the thing you were kind of insinuating there, Booner, we're not saying there's a 0% chance. I don't. That's not. There's always. I mean, I brought up the graphic earlier before you joined. The Eagles beat Tom Brady with like 15th most sacks in the league. So there are exceptions. Like, it definitely could happen. Okay, it could happen. Would I be more confident with Maxx Crosby? Yes. You mentioned earlier. Yes, and that's where we were talking about. If the NFL, the way it is, kind of wide open, I'm even more like, go get Crosby, because you can separate yourself. So that's where I'm at with it. I don't think they're not going to win without Maxx Crosby, but I would feel way more confident. And now without Aiden, we haven't technically seen this defense without Aiden. He's played in essentially every game. I mean, what he missed, like maybe one game throughout his entire career. I think so.
Yeah. Max,
so we don't really know. like, because I know you brought up like, well, the corner's starting to play better. Like, we're going to find out what this defense looks like without Hutch. Like, we're going to find that out this week. We've never really seen it, especially this year, the way he's been playing. Like Caleb said, every game he's leading the league in pressures. Like, Aiden's going to get you double-digit pressures a game. Like, that's where I'm thinking. That's where I guess I don't want to speak for everyone, but that's what we're kind of getting at with it. Like you're missing that every single game. And I don't think, even though I'm okay with Zadarius Smith, I don't know if Zadarius ain't going to get you anything close. So, in terms of Super Bowl confidence, it's definitely dropped since Hutch has been out.
I mean, I think that's the obvious thing. It's like if you lose Aiden Hutchinson, it's going to drop. Like that's kind of what I'm saying. That's obvious. But like the people like the doc yesterday being like, unless you get Maxx Crosby or Myles Garrett, you're not in that Super Bowl conversation anymore.
Yeah,
that's where. And then when you like, that's what I'm trying to say here. And then you guys are like, oh well, no, Booner, you're wrong. Like, no, that's what I'm saying is like, if we don't get those two guys, this thing isn't like hang it up. You're not winning a Super Bowl. You're only getting to the wild or the divisional round. You're done. Like that's where I'm trying to tell people a little bit. Hey, the Maxx Crosby thing is like I obviously I came in like, give me Maxx Crosby. That's a pipe dream. That makes you a Super Bowl favorite instantly. It's just like, hey, if that doesn't happen, let's not lean all the way on that. We've seen Dan Campbell take a team last year that people just thought were going to win the division to an NFC championship game. Like we've seen him do that. We've seen him take a 1-6 team and turn them into a almost wild card team. Like I'm not that like I'm not going to sit here and like freak out if they get Zadarius Smith. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, okay, there we go. They did something. This team has a chance to go win a Super Bowl, and we're right there. And that's where I'm kind of at with it. I'm not saying anything where it's like, hey, like that was why I got a little confused there because after it was like, hey, Booner, no, you're wrong. They're not going to have a great chance. It was like, all right, no, like. I'm not saying like literally we just said the exact same thing.
Well, that's why we were confused when you were like, you're insinuating there's a 0% chance without Max, and then that's where I was like, no,
because when you rebutted me, you said Booner, you're wrong, and then went into it, and I was like, no, dude, I'm literally just saying like the doc saying 0% chance. No, like that's no chat. No one should ever be saying that with what Dan Campbell has in Detroit right now.
But do you understand when you say not that you're not completely wrong when you say like, well, last year they made the NFC Championship game and they went 1-6 to 9-8 and went 8-2. Do you understand where the skepticism is because they did that with Hutch? Like, yeah,
100%. But like
you're assuming something without.
Yes. Okay. And I've made that point. Without Hutch, you have to find production a different way. AG, even with Hutch, you've seen players go down on this defense and AG having to find different ways. Like if Anzo goes down in a week, okay, how do we scheme this defense? And I know Hutch, guys,
Hutch is on a different
stop, like people like I'm not like let's not like dumb this. Like I know Hutch is a big deal, but I'm saying just because like Hutch is out, okay, you don't just lay down and be like, oh, we lost our best player. No. AG has to go into the film room. He has to sit down with his coaches and Kelvin Shepard and Terrell Williams. How do we get more pressure? How do we get the best out of this football team? Let's bring in Zadarius Smith. How do we use the best out of that? And like that's why it's like people are acting like you're completely done with pressure. The run game's over. No. AG will sit down with his staff. He will sit down with the players he has. How do we still get pressure out of these guys? How do we move forward? That's all it is. Like, yeah, it's going to take a step back. You're losing the best player in football. He's the best player in football, guys. It's just I don't think it's like.
And I honestly forgot he was good. Truth teller, he did that playoffs. He was dominant.
He did. Remember, that's the stretch of football that I compare against TJ Watt all the time.
Yeah,
as that stretch, and he was elite in it, and he helped us out so much. But now it's like, all right, AG, this is big on you. And like Kelvin Shepard, linebackers got to step up. Terrell Williams, all right, like this is why you guys are the best in the league at what you do. It's like these are the moments that it's like, all right, you lose a guy, how do you figure it out? Like if Ben Johnson lost a big time player, you're not going to sit there and be like, oh, this thing's over. No, you're going to be like, all right, Ben, time to cook. Figure this thing out.
That is the reality.
That was all I was trying to say. I wasn't saying like that. That was literally that's it. That's it.
I think we were arguing two different. You're arguing what they will do. We're arguing what we think. Like, yeah, there's no doubt AG is going to be like, all right, boys, let's figure out how to get the most pressure. Like, yeah, we get that. But my point is like my confidence level lowers without Aiden. I think, but everyone would agree with that. We all agree without Aiden.
That's not. Yep.
We're going to find out over the next rest of the season, really, what kind of impact he had. Now, Klotzy, seems to be frozen with that take. I mean, he just can't believe it.
He's not. He is not happy with that take.
Yeah, we'll get him back as soon as he gets back. We'll bring him
People
back.
in the chat. Hey, people in the chat are gonna hit me again in the comment section last night for me coming in and going at it.
The doc.
Here we go. Another night. The doc sending me a text being like, "Looks like people are going at the doc." I told Jeff, I've been having this for 3 years, man.
Yeah, well, you know what? I want to. You mentioned the game this week. I mean, I might as well get into it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. This game, the Lions are underdogs, and Aiden Hutchinson is. Oh, look at that!
Klotz.
There you go, Klotz.
All right,
Hey!
one out, boys.
Yeah,
You're
you
good,
good over
baby.
there, Klotz? You looked really bad in that frozen state. Bro.
Yeah,
I know. I was
look
getting
I mean, look
upset
at
because
it.
it was going blurry on me.
Oh no!
Wait, hold on. Oh, I can't. Oh, it doesn't show you. Never mind.
Oh,
You're still on the
so-
bottom. I was going to pop you up here.
Man,
Anyway,
just looked like he was like, I'm done with.
yeah. So
I was getting frustrated with my Wi-Fi.
we were talking about the confidence without Hutch and where we're at this week. They play the Vikings. They're underdogs, and Caleb, you said you like that. All right, maybe that's good. It's good motivation for this team. They do good with that type of stuff. They're on the road. It's not like a huge underdog. I mean, it's basically like a pick'em game, I guess. Vikings get the home field advantage, so they get the edge there. What do you guys think of just? I know we talked about confidence in this defense without Hutch, but specifically this game, what the Vikings pose on offense. No Aaron Jones potentially. I think that'll be huge. They traded for Cam Akers. Cam Akers might be out there. We'll start with the defense against this Vikings offense without Hutch. Maybe some players in mind that you think need to step up. What do you expect out of this defense with no Hutch and things like that? But you can go ahead. I'll go last on this.
Yeah. Ironically enough, you have to get pressure because Sam Darnold, I think if you get him outside of the pocket, he's going to struggle a little bit. I think this is going to be a huge game for Terrion Arnold, because Carlton Davis might not play. I just remembered that. So he didn't practice today or the whole week. So Terrion Arnold might be Justin Jefferson all day, which is obviously the toughest matchup in the league. So Terrion Arnold's going to be a guy that's going to have to really step up. I think the safeties, they've been great all year. And BB and Kirby Joseph, those are guys that, gonna have to help out Terrion Arnold. But yeah, Ty Chandler was a guy that I had him in fantasy last year, and it was awesome when Dalvin Cook, who was there? Was it Dalvin Cook last year? I forgot who the running back was.
Madison.
Alexander
Oh,
Madison.
that's who it was.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. When he went down, Ty Chandler had a couple nice games. But we've been so good at stopping the run all year. I'm not really worried about that. But I think the main thing is getting to Sam Darnold somehow. Aaron Glenn will get it done.
Offensively, the Lions are going to have to show out because I'm sorry, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison probably are both going to at least Justin Jefferson's going over 100 yards, and that's just Justin Jefferson. But hold on, let me go out of full frame here. When you talk about Jordan Addison is going to have a game, and if whoever Terrion, Carlton Davis, because I think Doc said yesterday that Carlton Davis is most likely going to be playing this Sunday. It doesn't matter. I think this is going to be a game where it's going to look like the old Lions defense, where the Lions are just going to be getting chunked apart in the red zone. I think that's where they have a hope of being able to limit it, because I think that Minnesota with no Aaron Jones will struggle to run the ball a little bit. But then again, like who are you trying to stop in the red zone? Aiden Hutchinson, because Aiden Hutchinson can sack your quarterback. He can swat the pass out of the line of scrimmage, or even like in the red zone last week, Aiden Hutchinson dropped into pass coverage. And you do not have a guy that can do that to the level of Aiden Hutchinson, at least yet, or even remotely close. If they get a Darius Smith-Boone, they got a guy that remotely close. He's there. He's been there in that point of his stage of a career before. But I really, and it's not even trying to sound disrespectful, I don't have much confidence against this offense for this defense, just because of playmakers that they have. Even if Aaron Jones is out, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson cause problems for healthy NFL defenses that have their Aiden Hutchinson. So it's going to be a tough game for this Lions defense. I think at least week one without Aiden Hutchinson, all those players on that defense have to get acclimated with no Hutch. But offensively, that's where I do have hope for him. But defensively, I don't have much confidence. It's the worst matchup possible outside of maybe like the Houston Texans. I would even argue, like on paper wise, with an injury, that the Minnesota Vikings are a harder matchup than the Kansas City Chiefs personnel wise.
Yeah, I'm gonna say defensively, honestly, like when it comes to this defense, and I think everyone could be on the same point here. Like if you look at the Vikings games, they've outside of that Texans games, let's say the Texans and that, I don't even count the Giants game because they're just so bad. But like just outside of that Texans game, it's all one possession games. So I like defensively, I think the number one thing is obviously, Jeff, I haven't said it in weeks because I said I'm going to go away from it. It's obvious. Like, you have to force turnovers versus Sam Darnold on the road. They're playing one possession games versus the Jets, versus the 49ers, the Packers. Like, that's what those games comes down to. Like, who can get the most possessions? Now, this is where we go back to the point that I talked about last segment, fellas, is Caleb, you said pressure. AG, one of the best things he's good at. And we saw last year when the corners were struggling and you were trying to find ways to get to the quarterback because Hutch was getting there and getting pressure. No one else was. It was Hutch and no one else. I think you start to see AG, and I think it'll happen this Sunday. He's going to find ways to bring pressure. Amik Robertson, Brian Branch, Anzo. You're going to see Ben Neiman, Nowaski out there.
Neiman.
And the Nowaski too. Hey, give me a Nowaski.
Yes, you dog.
Yep. So Nowaski, I think you're going to see a lot of Rodrigo getting to the quarterback. I think like the most important thing, I know we're talking defense right now, but I just think in the game as a whole is getting Sam Darnold under pressure, like making him just living it all night long, like just sitting there and you're like, oh, he's making the worst plays. He doesn't know what he's doing. His head's spinning and he's just having the worst night of his life. Like, that's what you have to do to Sam Darnold. Because he's playing these one possession games. He's getting time to get it to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. And obviously they had is Aaron Jones out? Do we know officially?
I don't know officially, but he's dealing with the hamstring injury.
So potentially I think it just comes down, like, I'm interested to see what AG does, guys. Like, I think that's going to be the focal point. I think it's the pressure. Like, how does AG get this? Like, what scheme does he put up out there versus this offense and Kevin O'Connell to where he's making Sam Darnold just living hell all night. Like, that's the key to this game, because I know the safeties are going to wreak havoc. I'm interested to see the corners, but I think it just comes down to, like, what blitz packages is he going to throw at them? What is he going to throw at this offense? And make Sam Darnold having the audible and, like, call checks and just do all these things. Like, make that man work to get points up on the board. And because on the other side, your offense is going to score points. That's inevitable. I don't care if they have Brian Flores. You have the best offense in the NFL. You're going to get points on Sunday. This defense has to find ways to take it away. They have to, and they have to find ways to put Sam Darnold in an absolute, like, jail cell and lock this man up.
Well, good. The good news right now is top three leaders in interceptions besides Xavier McKinney and Paulson Adebo and Dante Jackson. You have two Lions. Kirby Joseph has 4, he's second, and Brian Branch is tied for third with Paulson Adebo. So you have two guys that have 7 interceptions on the season. So takeaways, and by the way, that's only interceptions. Brian Branch had a punch out. He had a forced fumble against the Cowboys. So there's different ways you can do it too. That's the good news here. Turnovers, you nailed it. Turnovers are going to be so important against the Vikings because, number one, Klotz, you nailed it. The personnel, it's going to cause some problems. Justin Jefferson and of course, Jordan Addison. T.J. Hawkins is not coming back this week. He's probably going to play the next week. I'm not worried about Sam Darnold. I think that's what gives me more confidence against the Vikings than it did. I know last year they had Nick Mullins and still threw for a lot of yards. I understand that. But the thing about Sam Darnold is there are times where he's going to look human. He's a solid quarterback, and Kevin O'Connell is an amazing offensive head coach. He's one of the best in the NFL at play calling. And honestly, in terms of connecting with a quarterback and getting the most out of a quarterback, I would put Kevin O'Connell up there in terms of elite status. Like, you can give him any quarterback, and he will get every ounce of production out of that quarterback possible. So that's the thing. You mentioned, you actually said Kevin O'Connell, Booner. No, it is Kevin O'Connell. That dude's really going to be dialing up some plays here.
Oh,
all right.
Sure.
So you were kind of right, even though you misspoke. You are right. He's the mastermind behind this offense. So defensively, I mean, do I have confidence? I do in terms of making Sam Darnold look human, like forcing turnovers. I do. I'm curious to see if Ali McNeil can kind of carry over to this game what he did against the Cowboys. I think Ali McNeil, and I put him as my players to watch, impact players to watch this week, because I do think he could be the difference. Like, every quarterback hates it when they are pressured from the interior. That is the worst. You can't step up in the pocket and make tough throws. And if you have a Lee McNeil doing what he did against the Cowboys, or at least maybe 2 sacks is maybe a little aggressive, but in terms of just him being active, he beat Zach Martin last week on like a nasty swim move. If he's bringing that arsenal into this Vikings game, Sam Darnold it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'll say that.
Hey,
He's
to
gonna,
be
he's gonna make
fair,
mistakes. So that's the way to that's the way to beat this offense. It's not shut down all their personnel offensively. It's they're probably going to struggle to run the ball a little bit. If they don't have Aaron Jones, and you're going to have opportunities to take the ball away.
Hey, to be fair, everyone beat Zach Martin last week. That man struggled.
He got worked. I mean, he did.
Dude,
He got worked.
he struggled. No, I'm with you though. I agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting. That's going to be like the story of the weekend. I know everyone's putting it on the Brian Flores, Ben Johnson thing, which I think is a conversation. Like that's an elite coordinator matchup, especially the way they've been playing. But I do think like with the injury of Aiden Hutchinson and everything going on with that, I like for me personally, I'm like dialed in to see what AG does. Like I want to know what he ends up bringing to the table here. I'm confident he figures something out to be able to get pressure and to be able to get turnovers still because you still have those guys behind them. I'm just interested to see like Aleem McNeil, guys. Like you just paid this man the fifth most money or fourth most money as defensive tackles in the NFL. He just had an interview the other day as soon as it happened, and they were like, "You just had 2 sacks. Like, do you have more pressure now that you just got paid this much money to go do that every week?" And he's like, "Yeah, like I do. Like, yeah. Now you need to go out there and get a sack every week, or like, yeah, you maybe don't want to count the stats, but you need to go out there and like take it up a different notch here. Like, we need a different level out of you, Aleem. Come on, Mac. Like, we need that because now Hutch is down. I said it yesterday." He is now the vocal leader and the captain of that defensive line is Aleem McNeil. So he needs to step up and he knows it. So I mean that's going to be a big thing to watch on Sunday too, is Aleem.
Mm-hmm. I know, guys. I think offensively and we'll get right into it now. I think this offense is not only going to have to keep up what they've been doing, but they're going to have to make some plays. All right, and I think a player to watch this Sunday is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think He's had over 100 yards the last 2 games against the Vikings. I think this week he's someone that, especially in this type of game, like high stakes, NFC North game, obviously Amon-Ra, even though Brian Flores is the Ben Johnson, Brian Flores thing is like the heavyweight boxing match everyone's trying to see, like how these two battle it out in terms of coordinators. I think Amon-Ra is going to be very important. And the way Jared Goff's playing right now, I'm going to give the advantage, obviously, to the Lions, even on the road. But that's, I think, really what it comes down to. Like, you're going to have to put up some points here. Like, this is going to have to be one of those, they say my official score, but one of those, like, 31-24 type of games. That's how I see it happening this week.
Can I get something out real quick? I want to throw this stat out real quick, fellas. Offensively. Well, I guess it's the Minnesota defense. The Minnesota defense, their passing defense is 30th in the NFL. Their rush defense is 2nd in the NFL.
Yep.
So you could say, this is how my mind works. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Klotzy, you're a football guy. My mind works like this. Teams have been passing the ball all over them in these last 5 weeks, the 5 games that they've had. That's been something that teams have been able to do. They've been able to throw the rock anywhere.
The Vikings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're giving up the 30th in the NFL in passing defense. I think the biggest key to this football game, something the Vikings have not seen yet, the run game. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, and that offensive line. You have the best offensive line in the NFL. You have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, 2 top 10 backs. They obviously, they haven't lost offensively. Teams, I'm not going to say they've struggled against them, but you see they haven't been able to run the ball on them. They've been able to throw the ball wherever they want, and they have not been able to beat the Minnesota Vikings in that way. How does a team beat them? You do what they've been. You take away their strength, their run defense. You go in there and pound the rock. You set the tone. Oops, sorry. Got excited there. You set the tone early. You go. Remember a couple weeks ago when we talked about controlling the clock? Right away, go in there, pound the ball with D-Mont instantly. Set the tone of the game. Say, hey, this is what we're here to do. You're not the second best rush defense in the NFL. We're the number 1 rush team in the NFL. And when you go straight at them, you shove it down their throat, and you go win the football game in that way. And then you still get your weapons involved, but you emphasize on running it down their throat to where they're like, oh, we haven't seen this at all. We're 5-0. No one tried to do this on us. We haven't seen a great rush. They played the 49ers. Guess who they didn't have? Christian McCaffrey. They haven't seen a running back team with the number 1 offensive line in Jahmyr Gibbs and D-Mont yet. They have not. So that's how you go out there and beat them. And you throw their defense on their heels like, oh, this is the real deal. This is a real team. We have not seen this yet. That's how you go beat that team offensively.
How do you do it, Boone? By doing what?
Put them on their heels, brother.
Run the ball, Boone.
Oh,
Run the ball.
Let's
Come
go.
on now, lock in. But not only does that obviously put the Minnesota Vikings on their heels if you're able to run the ball there, but it also keeps Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison on the sideline. So the Detroit Lions have, even when they have one up against elite run defense like the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game last year, they've been able to run the ball. So, Booner, you're spot on. When you look at, like Jeff said, when you look at that Minnesota Vikings defense, a lot of that's created by turnovers. When you look at the yards given up through the air, it's a lot of times they're up at half, and these teams are making second half comebacks and kind of closing up those games to turn them in one possession. Now, that's not saying that should be that way or not. That's just the fact of the matter. So if the Detroit Lions are able to stay in one possession that whole time, personnel-wise, the Lions offense compared to the Minnesota Vikings defense, there's a huge, ginormous talent gap there. And when you have Ben Johnson, that adds on to it. So I think Dan Campbell, he has to stay aggressive this game. I don't think you can play conservative football when you don't have Aiden Hutchinson. I think you have to play very aggressively. That doesn't mean doing flea flickers to Penei Sewell, but what I'm saying is when you're on 4th and 2, I know Lions fans might hate it, but this is a week where every time on 4th and 2, you go for it because points, they come more valuable because if you're running the ball, you want to keep that Vikings offense off. There's going to be less possession. So you got to score. You got to be aggressive. And the way to do it offensively is by running the football, Boone. So you're spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are exactly right. Run the damn ball. Run the ball. I mean, you have two of the top 10 running backs in the NFL. Look, this offense is on another level right now. These past 2 games, I've never seen the Lions offense run like this. Last week, honestly, everything that happened last week, I'm going to take with a grain of salt because I think the Cowboys suck, and we just absolutely clowned them. We clowned them. I've honestly never seen anything like that. But yeah, this, like you guys said, you got to keep the defense off the field. Lucas, I was going to say the exact same thing. You got to be aggressive this week. Dan Campbell has found that happy medium this year of knowing when to put, Jack Fox and Jake Bates out there. But this week, you got to be aggressive. You got to keep the defense off the field, and you got to take it. I think this is going to be a race to 30 points. I think it's going to be one of those high-scoring games, so you got to take as many points as you can.
It's weird. It's like the Vikings, their identity on defense, to what you were saying, Booner, stop the run, make quarterbacks make offenses one-dimensional, and then we're gonna put pressure on you. We're gonna blitz from different angles, different players, keep the quarterback guessing, and we're gonna force turnovers. They're tied for second in the NFL in turnovers with 13. So it's similar to what we think the Lions defense was, and kind of is still. It is still. Is stop the run, make offenses one-dimensional, and force turnovers. They just did the same thing to the Cowboys. They literally just did that. So it's 2 similar defensive mindsets or defensive identities in terms of what they want to do. Now, What advantage would I give? Obviously, the fucking Lions, because they have the best O-line, they have the best backfield, and the Vikings have not seen running backs, to Caleb's point, like this. They faced the Jets. In Breece Hall, he didn't have a pulse in that game. He got revived against the Bills. He's starting to come along, but they couldn't run the ball. The Jets have not been able to run the ball. So even using them as an example, as a poor example, there's no offense that they have faced that is the offensive line of the Lions. There just isn't in the running backs that the Lions have. And the passing game, by the way, Jared Goff, big X factor this week. I know it's very simple. He turned the ball over early in the year. Turnovers it could be costly this week. So they're going to count twice as much this week. So turnovers on offense are kind of, even though they are always a big no-no this week against this defense. I mean, they're going to be opportunistic. You can't allow them to be. So that's the more important matchup here. They're going to try and take the ball away. They're going to try and stop the run. And you have 2 very good running backs. So
I do think though, to that point, Jeff, like this, like you take away what they're good at. Like that's what people try to do with this Lions team. Take away what they're good at. They're good at stopping the run, and obviously they might not have played versus the best running backs, but like that's how they've become 5-0 is doing exactly what you said, Jeff. Like creating turnovers, making you throw the ball. They haven't got to see an elite pass game essentially yet, maybe outside of CJ Stroud, and they won that game by 1 million. You have to go out there and you just have to dominate with D-Mont and Jahmyr Gibbs in that offense. They haven't seen an offensive line like that yet. They have not. Nothing close to it. They haven't seen an offense like this yet. Like you could say the Texans, the Lions offense is literally the best in the
NFL. No
NFL.
Joe Mixon in that game either.
Yeah, so like they have not seen that what they're about to see. And I do think to a point, like say you win the coin toss, and Klotz, I love the point. I love this. Love it, Klotz. The fourth down thing, because with the Cowboys, like if you looked at that game, I know they didn't really go for it on fourth downs, but they found a way to take the lead quick. Like they were down 3-0, boom. They go get a 7-3, boom, 14-3, boom, 21-3. And it's just like, whoa, like you have to do that on the road in Minnesota. The Vikings are a better team than Dallas. So to be able to get an advantage of going out there, if you get into your first possession, 4th and 2, let's say at the 50-yard line, go for it. You want to go take the lead. You want to go, like you're on the road with a 5-0 team. Go dominate and take the lead. Yeah, and you're the underdog. So go take the lead and get out early and make them play from behind the whole time. Make them, like, guys, make Sam Darnold have to throw it to Kirby Joseph or Brian Branch the rest of the game. I don't care if Aiden Hutchinson's out. Make him have to go throw it through those two guys. That's one thing, again, very, very underlooked right now because Hutch was such a big deal. The one thing that we have outside of the pass rush is you have the two best safeties in the NFL sitting behind you to where, hey, no matter what, whether you have an average or a good pass rush, every quarterback going into every game versus the Lions is sitting there going, I've got Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph to worry about. Have you guys seen that? Did you guys see the stat of Kirby of the red zone, the Lions red zone?
It's like a 7% chance.
Here, I'm going to pull it up. It's one of the most ridiculous stats I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, you could say this maybe this stat, Klotzy, if you haven't seen this, let me pull this up. This is one of the most.
It's like 1 for 14 or something like that. I forgot exactly what it is. It's
all
something.
Right, can someone put it up on the screen there?
Yeah, here we go.
So here, the Detroit Lions PR tweeted out, when teams have thrown passes in the end zone against the Detroit Lions this year, they are 1 of 14 for 10 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 interceptions. Like, guys, I don't think people realize how crazy this is. Going into the end zone, 14 passes. 5 of the 14 passes that have been thrown in the end zone have been picked off. 5 of the 14 passes. That is ridiculous. That's not just something to where it's like, oh, whatever. No, like Sam Darnold, when they're in the goal, like they're at the 11 or the 12 or 15, and they're throwing the ball into the end zone, in the back of his mind, all he's going to think about is Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Like, that's a problem. And like whether you're getting a pass rush or not, you're winning the mental battle, fellas. Like that's one of the craziest stats I've ever seen in my life. I want to do the math there.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, that's ridiculous.
Real.
7.1%.
Dude, almost 40% of the time you're getting an interception when they're thrown into the end zone.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean that's goes back to the bend don't break thing. Like you might get in the red zone, but you're not going to force you're going to force a turnover. So I mean, and the Vikings have shown. I mean, Sam Darnold. I get it was the Jets defense. They have a good defense, but he played his worst game of the year, and he got hurt in that game. So, in terms of the Sam Darnold storyline, I'm not saying it's over, but I don't know. But he played really well to start the year.
Could be showing soon.
Yeah, he's showing some holes. You know, this for sure. They have a good O-line. So, like I said, I think important players, definitely the guys like Lee McNeil pass rush is going to be important. But let's see. True Teller 2011 says, I just don't believe a Darnold-led Vikings team is that good. I'm sorry. I believe he will continue to regress to means versus Detroit. Darnell will have to do it for a season for me to believe. Or Darnold will have to do it for a season for me to believe.
Don't you think there's a point where that's the regression does happen with Sam Darnold? I would think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like as far as regular season goes, Sam Darnold's a guy that situationally can definitely tear you up. I look at this Minnesota Vikings team pretty much identically. Outside of the talent they had on defense during the time was much better, but how they're playing as a unit is the Case Keenum-led Vikings, where it's just they're really good everywhere else except they have an average quarterback that's playing above average. In some games he's going to look bad, but then you remember like the Thanksgiving game against the Lions. He went fucking crazy, and they won on Thanksgiving with Case Keenum, and they got boned in the playoffs after that Minneapolis Miracle. So I think this Vikings team has a chance against anybody, but with the Lions, I think Booner, where your point definitely could stand as far as this week, is Aaron Glenn is going to be having thrown a lot of exotic blitzes because he likes running man-to-man coverage. Now that Sam Darnold's going to have more time without Aiden Hutchinson, they're going to have to play more zone coverage, so you're going to have to blitz from different areas. So I think there's opportunities to be had for Sam Darnold. But if Sam Darnold gets hot, to Jeff's point earlier, with Kevin O'Connell, they're going to find ways to exploit it. It's just the matter of deal. That Sam Darnold doesn't have to be elite, but he has the coach and the playmakers around him play at elite level from game to game.
So if I asked you guys, who's under more pressure this week, Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson for pressure to keep this offense playing at a high level, or Aaron Glenn to get this defense to play anything remotely close to with the defense they had with Aiden Hutchinson? What would you guys say to that? Who's under more pressure this week against the Vikings?
This week, I probably would say AG this week. I would go because just with the AG thing, I think it's just more so the week after the Hutch situation. And honestly, like a lot of people, like social media wise and like nationally wise, I feel like everyone's putting it on Ben Johnson because of the Brian Flores defense and what he's been doing. So it feels like that's been the thing is like everyone's going, Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores. And like that's the limelight. AG, it's just post Aiden Hutchinson first week versus an offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and all of that, I would have to go AG. I would have to. Now, Jeff, me and you had the conversation actually.
Don't say both answers.
No, I was just saying long-term wise, like through the season, me and you had the conversation about because we were talking about this segment and it was like, why would Ben be in this? And it was just for me, like, all right, I'll wait till after.
Yeah, because you're going to say what
I might say what it is, and I'm guessing you have.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah,
hey, sometimes I'm good. I catch myself.
Jeff, you might as well just go next.
Yeah, it's Ben Johnson. He's under more pressure. I mean, he is. I'll say this. I think there's multiple ways to look at this. One, AG already has the built-in excuse. You don't have Aiden Hutchinson. So that's already something that AG is going to have to work through. And two, it's Ben Johnson versus the second best defensive coordinator in the National Football League. So that's a matchup everyone's watching. Everyone knows that this offense has to play at an extremely high level. So by that metric, or by that, me saying that, you're looking at this offense. Like you need this offense to keep playing at the level they're playing at. That's what I would say. Who's under more pressure? Ben Johnson. It's easy to say AG, but if they don't get a pass rush and let's say the defense gets torched, are we really going to look at AG? I'm going to be like, hey, I mean, that's what happens when you lose Aiden Hutchinson. Like, we're already going to have that excuse. If this offense takes a shit, there's no excuse. Like, it's just they took a shit, and Ben Johnson didn't have a good game. So I'm going to go Ben Johnson's under more pressure. You say AG. What about you, Lukas, Caleb? What do you guys think?
I mean, Booner, I get absolutely what you're saying about Aaron Glenn. I do think you have points there. But for me, what we were talking about, how there's a clear talent difference with the Lions offense compared to the Vikings defense, Ben Johnson has to have a game in order to win this game for the Detroit Lions. If Ben Johnson does not perform, this team does not win. I think if Aaron Glenn, you can't really be upset against this personnel if Aaron Glenn does not have a good game. I think it's just a tough ask for any defensive coordinator. If Steve Spagnuolo lost Chris Jones, I think it would be ignorant to put that on him at least the first week if he has a tough matchup. He's going to figure it out and find a way to figure it out, at least try to. It's not going to happen in the first week. Ben Johnson has a better personnel. He's the best offense coordinator in football. And now you're going up against one of the better defensive coordinators in football. It's a heavyweight battle, and you need your heavyweight to win because if you don't, you lose. So I think just because of that, I'm going to lean Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ben Johnson as well, just because everybody's healthy and ready to go. You have a week like you had last week where you or 2 weeks in a row, actually, you put up 40-plus points. The bar is high now. And with Aaron Glenn, Jeff, you said it, he kind of has the built-in excuse, if you want to call it that, with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. So it might take him a week to kind of figure out how to generate pressures and everything. And, with Ben Johnson, he has to face Brian Flores with an extra week of tape and everything because they had a bye week last week. So that's going to make it tough on him. But yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily pressure on Ben Johnson, but the bar for this offense is set pretty damn high right now. And I think he's got to meet him where people are going to start to freak out a little bit.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm shocked. I thought Jeff was going to be the only one to go Ben Johnson. Everyone did.
Hey, because we got some ball knowers in here, huh?
We do, but listen. All right, let me finish what I was saying earlier because I think there's this. I think this week you're going into this game, guys, with AG. Again, I do understand that AG is sitting there and he does have that built-in excuse. Like, I get that. And you're able to sit back if you get torched to be like, well, we don't have Hutch. I still think there's that side to where if you get torched, it's more prevalent to where it's like this is a problem. Where I think AG is going in there like, I have to prove myself. Like, I have to find a way to slow down this offense. Now, this is where I agree with you guys. And this is why I thought of this segment, because of the one reason only. Because I wanted to go Ben Johnson. Jeff put a wrinkle in this. He said just this week. My thought was the whole season, because I do think, guys, all season long, you don't know what this defense is going to be. Like, I think AG is going to have pressure to where he's going to have to figure out a way to keep this thing afloat. I do think, though, offensively, if you want to win a Super Bowl, guess what you need? You need the number one offense in the NFL. You have no room for error because your defense is going to have all of the errors if there is any. You have zero room on offense to have an error all season to be able to go win a Super Bowl. You have to stay. Like, when I thought of this, it was just, to me, I was like, you really have to have a top 3 offense consistently. Like, you have to do what you've done in Seattle and in Dallas over the next, 12 weeks, 11 weeks, or whatever it is left. What was it? It'd be like 11 weeks. 11 weeks left, or 11 games left plus the playoffs. Offensively, Ben's going to have to keep that up. Like, he's going to have to find a way week after week to play at the highest of levels. He literally has no room to slip because of the defense situation going on now. So that's why I do think, like, long-term guys, like, I think I'm with you guys. Like, I thought of this segment because I was like, I felt like no one was going to say Ben Johnson, and everyone's like Ben Johnson. So hey, you know what?
Hey,
I love the fellas for that. I love the fellas for that. How about that?
Like some thoughts, but it's all right. Hey, great discussion, because I think it's true. Like, I think there's good perspective from both sides, but at the end of the day, I just think if you need one guy to step up in order to win this game, I think it has to be Ben Johnson.
Yeah,
I think you agree.
Yeah, I will say if we were going let's say pre-Hutch injury, if we were going season long, I think it would have been Aaron Glenn. Because, I mean, in the offseason, you gave Aaron Glenn, you gave him Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, you give him DJ Reader, and you just say, make this defense top 10, and we're probably going to win the Super Bowl. But, post-Hutch injury, unfortunately, it makes it a little bit tougher, but kind of back to our conversation earlier, if you go get Maxx Crosby, the pressure might be right back on AG for the rest of the year to make this defense top 10. Because if we continue to be a top 10 defense, we're winning the fucking Super Bowl, and that's just fact. Sure. That's the way this offense is rolling. If you're top 10, you're winning the Super Bowl.
I think if AG finds a way to if you get this thing in the top 15, you're going to win a Super Bowl. Like, that's my line is AG. If you get Zadarius Smith, just get anyone. Keep this thing afloat at number 15. If you can stay at 15 and you can just keep afloat, I promise you, Aaron Glenn, I don't know his middle name, but I promise you, Ben Johnson will have this offense buzzing all year long and in the playoffs. No one can stop this offense with the J-Mo situation, the running backs. You cannot stop this offense. They've got guys, one thing that just crossed my mind with this offense, they have 4 offensive coordinators on this team, coaching. Like, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell could be an offensive coordinator anywhere, and I truly believe he would do a great job. Tanner Engstrand, and I think if Scotty Montgomery took over as an OC somewhere, I think Scotty would do a good job. They just this offense is unbelievable. So if you can get top 15. That was my argument earlier in the show, guys, is if you could just stay afloat at 15 when it comes to points a game allowed. Go from there. What are they at, 9 or 10 right now or whatever? Just stay. You have a little wiggle room here, AG. 15. Mark Brunell, too. Sorry about that. Appreciate you, Michael. But Hank Fraley. By the way, too, this is a very well-known thing, too. Hank, which I guess it's not really a good thing for him, but it is a good thing. But when Ben Johnson was going to go to the Commanders, it was confirmed Hank Fraley was going to go be his OC. He just didn't want to be play calling because Ben's obviously going to be like, I'm the play caller. But I remember hearing that. I lost track of what I was saying.
That's like Jim Harbaugh, Jerome Moore.
Yes. Spot on.
That's what that is. You're just standing there. I mean, respect Hank Fraley, but you're not calm.
Love Hank Fraley, dude. He is literally the best offensive line coach in the NFL. You think it's the kid guy from the Philadelphia, Jeff? I'll let you have that one.
Hey, that dude. That
Hank
dude's
Fraley
he's been in this thing for a while.
He for sure has.
But Hank's the GOAT.
I just think offensively, dude, you gotta. Actually, I remember Caleb. Your point to the defense, pre-Aiden Hutch, AG, dude. Do you remember all the people were like, if AG doesn't give a good defense, he's done. We don't want him anymore because we finally got him the weapons offensively. We got him the pieces. So he actually might have a little weight off his shoulders a little bit. Where he's like, oof.
Yeah,
excuse now.
You got the best safety dude. He's got the best safety duo in the league. I mean, he's got
the best linebackers in the league.
He's got 2 dogs back there.
The best defensive tackles in the league.
That's got to just be terrifying for quarterbacks. I mean, you have Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. I think they're going to use Brian Branch this week a little differently. I think they're going to blitz him a lot. Not a lot because he's so great in coverage, but he's like a guy that he's so versatile. I mean, that dude can do everything. So I'm curious how AG comes up with it.
Do you guys think, like Klotz, I guess this is for you. Would there be a scenario where a Meek drops back a couple times and they send Branch instead? Just because Branch probably a better blitzer?
Yeah, but it's probably, again, AG is going to have to do a lot of weird things to create pressure. So I'm sure that is not out of the equation whatsoever. If you bring in Brian Branch, you're going to have to drop a Meek. Unless you're sending both of them, then you're going to be dropping 2 linebackers.
Wonder if
it would be interesting. But remember, last year, Iffy and Brian Branch all had huge games at getting to the quarterback when it came to Nick Mullins. So Aaron Glenn saw it work once. Now you got to make it work twice, but without Aiden Hutchinson. So I do think they can produce pressure, but will it be enough to limit the big plays down the field? I do not know. That's where my concern comes from.
Dude, do you see the amount of PI calls that Justin Jefferson generated this season? He's like,
it's the same thing with Kelvin, where it's like, okay, we're one-on-one, ball's getting thrown to Kelvin Johnson, just take the flag, because it's pretty much a guaranteed, he's going to make a play out of it.
That's how it was against the Jets. Like Sauce had 3 or 4 PIs, or he had illegal contact, just dumb stuff. That's something Terrion just had a good game without any PIs. Let's just, hey, just lock in this week. You got two good receivers.
This would be a great game for Terrion really to turn it up, because all eyes are going to be on. It's not prime time, but it should be. All eyes are going to be on this game. And if Terrion just balls out against Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, people are going to look at this Lions defense a lot differently, even without Aiden Hutchinson. Because if you add a lockdown corner to this defense, there's no ceiling for this defense if you add a lockdown corner.
Yeah, Terrion should develop into that event.
I hope so. I hope at some point this year he just starts to everything starts to turn and we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of saying. If it's this game, game, it starts and everything just turns around. He gets, he learns how to be handsy and learns how to be physical. It's really unrealistic for it to happen this game against the best wide receiver in the NFL. But it'd be pretty fucking awesome if it was.
To be fair,
it is not going to be.
Not the week.
Next week in Tennessee, or no, I think they're home against the Titans.
Yeah.
But it'll be maybe that.
Yeah, Will Levis will look great for sure.
Yep. Hey, but honestly, let's talk about this. Terrion struggled for a little bit last week versus Dallas. I know that they don't have the best wide receivers outside of CD. No flags, made plays. He did what he was doing the couple weeks before, all those positives that were the only bad thing, it was dude, you are handsy. You're not turning your head. You're getting too many penalties. He's fixed it in Dallas. So maybe that was a little turning point in Jerry's world. Big time game. CD and Lamb at times. He might have all right, I got a good feel of it. This is what it feels like to play a good football game here in the NFL. Because he's got the talent. That's the talent isn't the question. It's just getting used to the NFL.
Yeah, this feels. I hate to bring up this name. This name should be forbidden.
Oh no! Don't do it.
Yeah, I won't do it.
No, do it. Go ahead. We gotta hear it.
I was gonna say this feels different. Terrion Arnold's struggles feel different than Jeff Okuda's struggles.
Oh.
You got this, Caleb. You got it.
I know. And it's because Terrion Arnold, you're right, Boone. It's just kind of learning how to be handsy in the NFL, because I think in college you can get away with a little bit more, but with how much these receivers are being made, how much these receivers are making money-wise and everything, they want to see them. The refs are going to throw more flags on, for PI. And it just feels different. It feels like Terrion's going to turn this thing around. He had a great game last week, had a great stop on 4th down. I forgot who he knocked the ball away from, but yeah, great play on 4th down. It feels different. And I hate to bring that name up. I hate to bring Jeff Okudah up. I was, that's a guy I always said, if you can move, I would move that guy to safety, and I think he'd be a great safety. It was a little bit small, but I don't know.
Felt like you wanted to bring his name up, but I got a little sense of
No. Well, I was going to stop myself, but that name just kind of came to my mind, and
he's a whole day. But I get your point though. I'm with you on his struggles. If it's different, it's not he was getting burnt consistently. Terrion's It's just the penalties. I mean, I think he has like 4 penalties in 5 games or something like that. 3 and 5, something like that. I forgot the exact thing.
We all remember like the panic run by Jeff Okudah when Jeff Okudah started going.
Yeah.
You knew we have not seen that out of Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold has not been giving up big plays. Jeff Okudah was getting cooked even all the way into year 3 by DK Metcalf. So it's not the same situation at Caleb's point. And Terrion will be good. But he's going up against the best wide receiver in the NFL and one of the most underrated in the NFL, one of the best route runners in the NFL with Jordan Addison and Kevin O'Connell scheming up. That's why, like they're saying it in the chat, like Lukas sounds scared.
Oh,
those wide receivers.
A little scared?
Are you scared?
Yes, this week, absolutely.
What?
And it's not even like I just respect the hell out of those 2 wide receivers and Kevin O'Connell too much to be like. They got it. It's fine. They shut down CD last week. They shut down Jalen Tolbert. They'll be fine. No. Okay. This is a different monster in my opinion. Hey. I'm not scared. Keeping it a buck.
No, you actually are you are correct. I mean, they do got weapons galore. Running back, I think they're going to struggle to I don't know. Aiden Hutchinson is like their best run defender. But they still have DJ Reader and Lee McNeil. And they don't have Aaron Jones. I don't know. And Josh Pascal, good against the run. Maybe not the best, not like a pure pass rusher. Maybe not someone, but he could get a little active sometimes. And Levi.
No, I think the Vikings will struggle against the run, but not as much, obviously, with Hutch. I don't think the Vikings are going to rush for over 100 yards. I don't think they're going to rush for over 80 yards. But I think what we might see is on 3rd and 5, the Vikings might run the ball instead of they're going to be throwing the ball here. The Vikings will have the nuts to run the ball, and they could probably pick it up. I think there will be more 2nd and 3rd manageables for Minnesota than we've seen from other teams previously in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, you're going to need that slot merchant Amon-Ra St. Brown to show up.
George,
you see that?
So, did you hear though? Amon-Ra responded to it.
Yeah,
I didn't see what he was doing.
So
I have his response here. Let's just play it.
Before we play it though, just I guess the clip with I guess we could play the response because Amon-Ra explains it and breaks it down pretty well.
All right, here's Amon-Ra responding to George Pickens calling him a slot merchant. Here we go.
I feel like a lot of people just saw the clip and just saw the short part of it, but I don't think he meant anything bad. I feel like he was just saying that if you have a good offensive coordinator, which we do have, Ben's great. He does get I feel like he's special at what he does. He's able to get guys in spots to make plays. So that's a credit to Ben and everyone on our staff. But like I said, I don't think he meant any malintent. He's just saying, what a good offensive coordinator make plays.
Can I just
kindness? Go ahead.
I think what happened was, and I could be wrong because I didn't watch the full episode. I just see the small clip. This has dove climbing written all over it type of deal. This has like a dove being like, let me clip the one bad thing of this thing and put it out, and let me show the people. Maybe Amon-Ra might have spoke with them or listened to the full thing. Maybe Pickens, maybe there was more to it. I don't know. I guess I have to go watch the whole thing. But this feels like a dove climbing type of situation going on here, boys. He loves to mix things up and put things out of context. So that might have been what happened. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think George Pickens is the last receiver that should be able to talk right now. I mean, he's done nothing.
Yeah, that's
obviously very, very mediocre quarterback play. But, and again, like Amon-Ra said, the quote probably was out of context. Or, I don't know, was it? I didn't watch the whole thing.
I don't know. I feel like it was pretty straightforward. The dude literally
like it, but when Amon-Ra says that, you're like...
I watched the clip, I know it's a clip, but you can kind of get he was pretty straightforward. He's he's a Amon-Ra, guys that feed in the slot, Amon-Ra, he's a slot merchant. He's just getting the ball because he's in the slot. I don't know. It just came off maybe I didn't hear the full clip, but shit, do I need to? The guy was pretty straightforward. Now I will say Amon-Ra has more passing touchdowns than George Pickens has receiving touchdowns. So I don't know if that.
Jared Goff has more receiving touchdowns than George Pickens.
Jared Goff, yes, that is true.
Penei
as well.
Sewell and Taylor Decker have the same amount, more probably just as many targets as well. George Pickens, I like George Pickens as a player, but like Caleb said, the last dude to be talking right now. Like slot merchant, I don't care what anybody says. Like you can call CeeDee Lamb a slot merchant by that metric as well, because he lines up just as much in the slot, if not, and it's not even if not, he does line up more in the slot than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Justin Jefferson, ton of slot snaps within the slot. George Pickens just cannot play in the slot. He doesn't have quick enough feet. He's got the kind of like the Troy Franklin effect, but he's still a good player. Like he just can't keep his feet under. He doesn't have the route tree to be a slot. So I think there's just a little bit of envy within that.
I do think there's a sense too, like to what Amon-Ra said, and I think George Pickens mentioned, like, you know, you have an OC like that. Yeah, like you have Ben Johnson, you're gonna get open a lot. Like it's gonna help you out. I have a lot of faith though that if Amon-Ra, like say when Ben Johnson leaves and you bring Tanner in or whoever's next, Amon-Ra is still gonna be Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like the talent's there. You're not taking away the talent. Like now you take that talent and you put it in the best positions to win, whether that's in the slot or you're finding different opportunities for him to be open and find the ways to get him the ball because he is one of your best players. Like when that, like, what are we doing there? Like George Pickens, a lot of people said George Pickens was very talented. He's a talented guy.
Yeah.
Give me Amon-Ra St. Brown, no matter what OC you have, what coach you have, what offense you're. Give me Amon-Ra St. Brown over George Pickens 100 times out of 100 times. Every single time.
Yeah, Amon-Ra might get schemed open a lot, and that's credit to Ben Johnson. But I mean, I think we all know that Amon-Ra St. Brown has the ability to get open by himself as well against man coverage and finding, you know, soft spots in the zone. It is a lot of Ben Johnson, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is also one of the more talented receivers in the NFL, in my opinion. Route running rise, and he doesn't drop passes either.
No, he doesn't, and he's been, you know, the more productive receiver. He's an all-pro. I mean, George Pickens is chill for. I know George is a great player. Got that. I don't know what it is with Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers. Like, I don't know if they all just. I don't know. Like Brian Flores is like, you know, when they're talking about drafting a wide receiver, like, is he a douche? Like that's like the final draft question. Like, is he a douchebag? Is he a diva? Oh, okay, yeah, we'll get him. Like George Pickens, Juju, Antonio Brown. It's weird. So yeah, George Pickens. That's
Martavis Bryant.
Yeah, there you know.
WCDI, perfect timing. Martavis Pickens.
Yep. Well, we got Gentry's chilling here. By the way, the Wings update. They're down 5-1 in the third period. They're going to fall to 1-3.
I was told
they're going to fall to 1-3, and you know, I hate using this term like he's on the stand, but I think it's safe to say that Gentry's on the stand. You know, I do
explaining to do.
I do want to hear from Mike. You know, he's been dialed in watching this game. I want to check his mental health and kind of see where he's at. But Mike, let's get this on here real quick. Mike, where are you at with the Red Wings here? I mean, that's rough. It's absolutely rough.
Oh shit! Sorry, hey boys. I didn't know if I was being added in or whatnot. But no, obviously not the start that we all hope for. I knew that obviously getting a lot of new pieces on this team that they would go through sort of a patch like this, but I just didn't expect it to be this bad to this extent. Like the offense, I mean, like tonight they had some chances in the first period, second period they go out, they don't even get a shot for almost 14 minutes. So, and then the penalty kill special teams hasn't looked good. Obviously, power play has not scored at the clip that it's been scoring at last year. And then the penalty kill was even the strength of the team last year. And they go out and they acquire pieces like Tyler Mott to help that out. And in this game, you let in 3 of them, you know, back to back. And that's not how you're going to win games. So I'm curious what they do from now on, because I think that, like I said, to start the season, Marco Kasper was one of the better players in preseason. And I think the younger legs that he has could definitely be valued right now, could definitely be used in the lineup. But something's got to change, because even the goalie situation, like I said, 3 goalies that should never happen, that didn't work out last year. And it appears that none of them are playing too great to begin with right now. So.
No.
Oh, no.
Hey,
I mean, what are we?
Stevie Bob.
I'm not even going to stop him. I'm not doing it.
Well, hey, I don't understand what you put it so eloquently. I love using that word now.
Great PR answer.
You said it well. All right, you said it well, Mike. You know, it's a tough time, but the Red Wings, They got to make the playoff. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, I know the Rangers, they're a good team, but what are we doing here? I mean, the
Red Wings are supposed to be a good team. We're talking about the Rangers.
Yeah, and
we're supposed to be a good team. I stood on business for them to make the playoffs. Now I'm getting embarrassed over here. This team, what are we doing here?
I mean, it is still very early. So, like, I seen someone say coaching change, and that may be in the cards. I still think you would kind of have to wait a little bit. I don't think you're going to overreact to 5 games, even though how bad some of it has looked. I think that could definitely be in the cards if this continues. But I don't know, like some of the defenses and some of the players that they left, or like David Perron, the Shane Gostisbehere, the extra leaders in the locker room, that might be a key missing right now. But like I said, the power play was one of the biggest things for the Red Wings last year. They were hitting an insane clip to start the year, even to end the year. They were doing really good. They were really consistent. And right now they've had at times where they've had good looks and whatnot, and they've been moving the puck really well, but they just haven't been able to bury. But when you're in a game like this against the Rangers, you are going to have multiple times on the penalty kill and on the power play, and you need to capitalize, and you cannot let 3 goals up in a row. So I expect something to be changed defensively, and obviously I'm expecting right now at this point Marco Kasper has to be called up soon, and there's no other reason not to. The way that those bottom lines are shaping out and the production, it just makes no sense that he should have started on this roster to begin the year. So there's still going to be some changes, but as of now, boys, it looks horrible. I'm not going to lie. This has probably been some of, I know it's 4 games and it's early and I don't want to overreact, but this is some terrible hockey that I've been watching.
Derek Lalonde? What's going on?
I like Derek.
How long?
I like Derek, and like I said, it might be like too early and to do something like that. But if this continues, I assume he will have some tough questions to answer from both the media and Steve Yzerman. So I think Newsy's a very good coach, and like I said, there's some new pieces on here, and maybe that's kind of the hump that they're battling right now. But there's no excuses for some of the things that you have seen and some of the ways that they've been playing. So someone's got to be accountable for it. And, it does start at the top with the head coach.
I mean, this is not necessarily what we were expecting here, Mike. It's tough. I mean, Caleb, you're a Red Wings fan. I mean, it's a shit show. I mean, so far, it's a rough start for the boys.
Yeah. Look,
That's start.
Red Wings fan. What, Boone?
Pistons start.
Can we get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's go.
Look, I want this take next to my name, and I know Spenny put out the tweet.
He did do that.
Love it. 35 plus wins. Lock it.
No,
you see it. You look. Do I think this team's going to make a run in the playoffs? Absolutely not. Do I think this team is going to make the playoffs? No. 35 wins might get you close to a play-in spot. I think they'll be in contention for a playoff spot. You give a guy like Cade Cunningham spacing like they're doing and a culture that JB Biggerstaff has brought to this team, they're going to be a decent team. I think there are question marks that, hey, what's going? Hey, no. The Wings are down 5-1 right now, and we're clowning the Pistons.
No, I was laughing at Jeff. From Jeff makes eye contact and start laughing at each other. I wasn't laughing at you.
Caleb said, "No. Look at the Wings right now."
Hey, I got that.
That's no disrespect.
All disrespect is warranted right now, Caleb. I can't say anything about the Strays. Like you said, they're down 5-1. I just admitted they're playing some of the worst hockey ever. So I have no room to talk about the Pistons. Honestly, no room.
But truthfully, I really try not to be a slappy when it comes to the Pistons. I love that team. Yeah. I watched every game last year, and they only won 14 of them. That's not very good when you play 82. But look, I'm telling you guys right now, Cade Cunningham is going to be on something different this year, and I think JB Biggerstaff is going to find the most out of Jaden Ivey. There are question marks at the center position. I'm not the biggest Jalen Duren guy. I think he's a little bit lazy on defense, but that's the culture thing when it comes to JB Biggerstaff. He might say, "Hey, Duren, if you don't go up for every rebound and try to block every shot, you're not going to get many minutes, and Stu's going to play over you because Stu has a high motor. There's obviously question marks around Stu as well. He's undersized, and what position should he actually play? But look, guys, I'm going to say it again. Try not to be a slappy. But 35 wins, that's not out of the cards. It's not out of the cards. And I think we should be disappointed with anything less because this team has been so bad for so long. Like, at a certain point, like, and Booner, I know you bring it up a lot. Like, at a certain point, when does the league have to step in and say, Tom Gores, you have to sell the team if this team is super, super bad again? Because it could end up being his fault, at the end of the day, that he's not giving this team enough resources or something. We have to pinpoint the being shitty on someone, and we could do that with Tom Gores. But yeah, guys, I'm telling you.
Jeff, we don't need back-to-back slappies here. Let me talk a little bit here real quick because I'm just gonna
Caleb, you're preaching fucking
Caleb. No, listen, I'm gonna say this too. A lot of things you said, Caleb, spot on. Like, yes, I agree. JB Bickerstaff, culture change. He's been very good in the NBA. He knows exactly how to run an organization, what to do. I think the same thing with Langdon. I think Langdon has a good idea of kind of how to build the team up to be in contention and compete in this league. Now, this is where I go. You're coming off back-to-back years of two different head coaches and two different cultures. I think, and this is me now. Listen, we've seen in the NBA and NFL, NHL, we've seen in every league, professional league, there are these teams who do just come out of nowhere. They get a new coach and boom, just out of nowhere. It's like, whoa. I'm not going to be willing to put my back on that and say, yeah, that's going to happen. I think it's going to be more so of hey, this is a new culture. This is a new, a whole new fit. I think JB is the right guy in here. I think they brought in the right people this time. I truly do believe that. And for me to say that, I've been out on every guy that's been in here. From Van Gundy to Casey to Monty. Like, I don't see any of this working. I think JB is the right guy for this position. I just think, hey, this is good. You're coming off a 14-win season. That's tough to go from 14 to 35 to 36. That's improvement, man. And it's not like they went out there. I do think Cade is gonna. I hope Cade's an all-star this year. I think I've argued that I think Cade has MVP potential in the NBA. I think he has that type of potential. I just right now. They didn't go out there and get the biggest pieces. They brought in Tobias and Tim Hardaway. I don't think Tobias and Tim Hardaway and a jump from Cade is good enough to go from 14 wins to 35. Now, I think they can go from 14 to 26, 27, maybe on the edge of 30. I just this gives me feelings of last season when they brought in some random vet players and Cade was supposed to take the jump and Ivy now with Monty and this young team and Monty's going to take this jump with this team. And I remember the over-under was like 24.5, just like this year. And I even got the moment of the situation. I was pumped. I was on the show that I had before, and I was sitting there going, you probably can go clip it. 30 wins. And then everyone else on the show, we went around the room, and everyone else on the show said, 34. Give me 37. Why not give me 40? And I was like, whoa, what are we doing? They just won. How many games did they win a year ago? And it feels like there's a little situation like that to where as the season gets going, all right, still a young team, they're going to get going. Hey, Caleb, in 2 or 3 years, this is going to be a team competing in the East. I do believe that. Absolutely. I'll tell you that. But right now, I think there is still a fresh factor of a new organization, or not organization, but a new regime, new everything. Let Cade get comfortable. Let Jaden Ivey get comfortable. Jalen Duren. Let these teams get comfortable, and we can get rolling.
No, it's time to get serious for a second.
Yeah, don't put the camera on me. Put the camera on this dude. He did a whole outfit change.
Let's go.
I want to take my bias out of this. But I just think, guys, for a team, we talk about grit. We talk about grit, Caleb.
That's where the grit. They don't put grit on the Pistons. That's a Lions thing. I'll give it to the Tigers.
And I think what we have to consider here is with this young core they have currently, Cade Cunningham, it has all-star potential this season. All right, given the Pistons got to go after the mark that you're talking about, Caleb, which is 35. And I like Betty's bet as well. I don't mind it. Plus like 700 for those odds. Are you kidding me? I mean, I like it too. I might even tail it, to be honest with you. I think the reality is this: JB Bickerstaff, no hoodies. Okay, can't put on the hoodies in the practice facility. It's getting serious around here. Okay.
Yep.
We're getting, you know what I'm saying? It's getting serious around here. So the Pistons, even with the new coach, I get it, Booner. They got to instill the culture. I understand that. But with these young guys,
Sounds like you're saying exactly what I just said.
You got some vets now. Okay. I get that. I understand the culture shit. I get all that. They're gonna get minimum 30 wins this year. Okay. They might even flirt with a play-in. I'm serious. They might even flirt with a play-in.
Deja vu.
Hey, people are afraid to say it because people don't want to be super wrong about it. You're right.
Caleb, just stop for a second. Caleb, look at who you're agreeing with right now. Look at who you're.
He looks like he knows ball. He looks like he knows basketball.
You're telling me if you spend that much money on Detroit Pistons gear in the year 2024, we'll give them a grain of salt. You probably bought him, 21, 22, Jeff? Is that what we'll call it? So they weren't winning 14 games. They were winning, 25? You're spending that much money on Pistons gear. Do not tell me that you know ball right now.
Well, here we go. Okay,
you can pan to his left. You'll see the Killian Hayes jersey on the wall.
That was a gift. Shout out to my wonderful girlfriend. She got me that gift when he was drafted.
Why don't you take the tag off that Pistons hat? It looks like you haven't worn it in 10 years. The barcode is still on it. It's a barcode, dude.
I haven't touched it. I have it up in my closet up high.
First time you ever wore the hat.
I don't want to get it dirty. I don't want to get it dirty. You know what I mean? I don't want to get it dirty. But let me say this real quick, okay? I think they could shock some people this year. I do. I like Fred Vincent. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The best shooting coach in the National Basketball Association. So let's not get it twisted here. And I know Easy's in the chat. I get the Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham stuff. Jaden Ivey showed the shooting, maybe the Fred Vincent effect. Shoot the ball a little bit. Okay, he's getting better. I'm curious how that dynamic works this year. But I'm excited, boys. I'm excited. And if hey, Mike, don't let him start above 500.
Right.
Don't let him start above 500.
No.
I'm on you.
1-0, like they did last year. 1-0. Whoa.
Hey,
2-1, Boone. 2-1.
Oh. We're talking about the guy over there with the barcode on his hat, and it looks like he just did arts and crafts with that sweatshirt he's wearing. Like
I kind of like the hoodie. To be honest,
I don't know.
I kind of like it, but I don't like the team, Boone. But no, hey, to Tyler's point here.
I was like,
Come on, boys. 6 games under 500. Do you really believe that?
Fellas,
that's still not a good team.
When you guys asked me, do you think they'll win 30 games? I said no, but I think they're going to double their win total. If you told me that the Pistons double their win total from last year, that's a success from winning 14 games. That's like the first step. But to your point that you bring in the players that you do, and then I understand that you bring in a new coach. This still is not a team that's going to go win 35 games to contend for a play-in.
Real quick, too, I just want to throw this out. We're not talking about, and this is what really gets me and irks me a little bit. Jeff, I think it's awesome you're bringing Fred Vincent up. Fred Vincent's taking – all right, I just saw the comment there, breaking news, Maxx Crosby to Detroit. I got duped, I think. That's on me. Really, anything –
all right, go on.
Fred Vincent's great. He's going to help change. He's not taking single-handedly your team from 14 to 35. People keep saying this, Fred. Fred is a great coach. Great coach. Your shooting coach isn't taking you from 14 to 35. That's first off. Number 2, if we were having the conversation and you guys were arguing for the Detroit Pistons to just hit their team total over, which is 24.5, I believe, or if 25, depending on the book.
30. They're getting 30 minimum. Yeah.
Dude, if you guys were arguing that, I wouldn't be sitting up here being like, okay, I would be like, all right, you can give me an op. I will sit here and be like, okay, 25 to 28, 29, 30 wins. Okay. We're talking about 35 and potentially a play-in opportunity. That is, you just had 14 wins, guys. This is Slappy Central. I get called Slappy all the time. Slappy Central. I finally get to dish out the Slappy card. I'm dishing it out. No one's dishing it to me. Welcome to my world. Slappy Central. Look at that. Tell me that's not a Slappy. I mean, that's the biggest Slappy I've ever seen.
You didn't know he was on screen. Startled him.
Hey, Slappy card, you get it. Welcome to my world.
Hey, I got. Hey, this.
Oh my god!
Oh, not the sticker.
Hold on.
Oh my
Get
god!
the bobbleheads out, Jeff. Get the bobbleheads.
Hey, hold on. You know why we're going to the? Hey, this dude right here. Okay, this dude right here This is a special player.
Can't do it all.
Hey, this is a special player now. Okay, this guy right here. And I'll tell you this, okay? Let me just say this. With the play-in, 10 teams. Okay? Why not us? You know what I'm saying?
The 10th seed had 40 wins last year.
They won 40
The 10th seed had 40 wins.
You're listening, but you're not listening.
If the Minnesota Vikings stay on this point, they're probably going to have more regular season wins than the Detroit Pistons did last year. And then you're expecting them to go out there and win 35 games?
Yes.
So you're telling me
the Charlotte Bobcats are going to go where the state that they were at. They were going to go win 35 games the next year. No.
They didn't have a player like Cade Cunningham, though. They didn't. And you bring in a guy like and Booner, you said it. You said it. You were talking about the culture. That culture is going to bring W's. And I'll say this: Tobias Harris is going to bring W's, and Malik Beasley is going to bring W's. The shooting around Cade Cunningham. The shooting, not them individually, but the spacing around Cade Cunningham is going to bring W's to Detroit. I'm not saying this team's going to get 50 wins. I'm not saying they're going to get 50 wins. I'm not saying they're going to be in the NBA fucking finals. I'm saying they're going to win 35 games, which is still a shit team in the NBA, and they're going to be improved. And then next year, they're going to be ready to go for a playoff
conference finals.
Maybe.
Maybe. Hey, so the last year, okay. So you have you got to win like 36 got you into play-in last year. If I'm looking at this correctly, 36 wins snuck you in.
This is crazy conversation.
Just to compete, at least just to compete to get a playoff spot. My words were flirt. They're gonna flirt with it.
Jeff,
just flirt.
No, you said they were making the play-in, but now you're backpedaling a little bit.
This is nuts.
You said they were making the play-in.
Maybe it was the terminology, but could be. I don't know. Maybe fuck it. Maybe we'll just say it. I don't know. But they're gonna flirt with it for sure. You know, like it's like trying to pick up a girl. They're flirting. Maybe maybe she says, "I like this guy." Maybe they get let into the plan, or maybe they get rejected. But they're going to flirt. I'm telling you right now.
For Pistons' sake, this girl turns out that she's lesbian and she's not interested in the play. And she's not interested in that at all. She swings the other way.
I'm looking at. Did she see his shiny new car? She got some shiny new cars.
Hey, Monty drove off with it. And that contract that he sold him.
Hey, I'm just saying.
I'm looking at 5 teams in the East. The Pistons are better than. And tell me if you guys agree. Be serious for a sec.
Okay.
Tell me.
I'm taking off the hat. I'm serious.
Tell me. All right, Toronto. I think the Pistons are better than Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Washington.
That didn't seem so convincing, Jeff. Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for you guys. I'll say it. Fuck it. Let me. Hey, Cal, I got you. Yeah.
Maybe with Siakam being gone. Maybe. Yep. I don't know. We'll still have to see.
Washington.
Yep.
Brooklyn. They're better than Brooklyn.
Yep.
Brooklyn might be the worst.
Yeah, they're better than Brooklyn.
Charlotte. They're better than Charlotte. And I think they're better
than Ball.
I mean, Charlotte's fully healthy. I don't know about that.
What was the last one?
Chicago. I think they're better than Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Lonzo Ball's back.
Okay. I'm a big Lonzo Ball guy.
Lonzo's
I
back.
like Lonzo Ball.
I mean, that's like 5 teams, but like, all right, hold on. I want to see something real quick. How many teams was that?
Caleb,
that was
How
5.
many teams was that? 5. Let me see the records last year.
They have more wins than the Pistons, if that's what you're going to look up.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn was a 6th seed in the East last year, but they're not going to be a 6th seed. So
tough luck.
That team's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, they're on the way down. So
I like
and the Raptors too. No Siakam now, obviously in Indiana. So
put the hat back on.
I don't know. Like, are they better than the Hawks?
No, I don't think they're better than the Hawks.
Are they better than the Heat?
No.
The Sixers?
No.
The Pacers?
No.
No.
The Magic?
No.
The Cavs?
No.
No.
The Knicks?
No.
No.
The Bucks?
No.
The Celtics? Hold on, I'm just keep going. The Thunder?
Well, why are we going
Nuggets?
to the West?
I'm just naming teams that they're going to play this. I'm just naming teams they're going to play this year. They have to play. Like, we're trying to find 35 wins, right? I can't find 35 wins. The NBA is really good, dude. There's a lot of good teams.
The only way that team sniffs
35 wins is if Cade plays 82 games, and Cade hasn't played more than 64 games in 3 years. So,
dude, they're going to lose all these games in the West. You have the Rockets who won 41 last year. The Jazz are getting better. The Grizzlies are going to get John Morant back. The Spurs have Wemby, and they're
The
getting
mighty
better.
Jazz.
The Trailblazers, they
Jazz.
those are the bottom teams in the West.
Quit.
Like, they're going to go play these West games, and they're going to lose 80% of the games in the West.
Hey, what's
Like
that song? What did Kirk Cousins say? We're gonna take over your trap. What do you say? What was that? What was the song? Hey,
Yeah,
I want to mute him so
they're
bad.
gonna take
It's
over
10
they're gonna
o'clock.
take over. They're gonna take over all those teams.
Kirk
traps. That's what they're
Thuggins.
fucking doing,
Dude,
right?
all right. Are they better? All right, are they better than the Trailblazers?
Yes.
I
Who
mean,
are
that's
they- who are
Spurs.
they? Anthony
Spurs.
Simon. No, they're not better than the Spurs.
All right, Grizzlies.
No.
Jazz.
No,
no,
Yeah.
Jazz,
Rockets.
no.
Hold on.
There's
They are
one
better
team,
than the
guys.
Jazz.
There's one
You're
team in
talking
the
about
Western
stealing
Conference.
a game. Can they steal a game? Tell me, is it at home?
They could still.
No, he
if
said,
you're
are they
talking
better
about-
than
They
the
have to play.
Grizzlies?
They play all the Western Conference teams twice still, or however many times it is. They're not going to go win out in the West. The West is a loaded. Like, those are games that you have
But
to.
they're in the
still win.
East. That's
Okay, but still, so you don't play any West teams ever.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. But
Okay,
I
so
think-
those are also, when you look at 35 wins, the 35 wins, it's not you're playing 82 games versus the East. You play the whole West multiple times. You still have to play the top. Literally, the names that you guys gave up, you guys said they're better than 5 teams or 6 teams total. All right, say you play those 6 teams twice. Guess what? That's 12 wins. Where are the other 20 something?
yeah.
I mean, I'm being
I get
serious.
you. Hey,
Where are the other
I get
23?
you 18 more. I get you 18.
No, all right, 18 more gets you, buddy.
I get you
18 more doesn't even get you to 35.
Well, I get
Gets
you.
you to 30.
I get
It
you
gets you to
23 more.
30, Jeff.
I get you 23 more.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, they're only better than 5 or 6 teams.
I
in
mean,
the
can
whole
we
league.
demand greatness? I mean, at
That's
least
what we're demanding, and you're not. You're taking a back seat, being like, "It's okay,
I'm
guys.
I'm-
Be average."
No. That's
I'm
not. That's
demanding our version of greatness, which is 35 wins. Can we just get there? I'm demanding. Me and Caleb are demanding.
Listen. This is the conversation I had with Spenny earlier. It's not that I don't want them to get there. We're realistic. Spenny's like, you don't want them to. No, I would love for them to get to 100 wins, even though they can't do that. I would love for that, like, somehow. But guys, like, let's just be realistic. They're not going to do it.
I'm sorry, you're not going to talk me
Jeff,
down on
it's
this.
like, Jeff, what's your
I'm all in.
what's your favorite dish that she makes?
Oh.
You had to
let me
pick
see.
one.
So I go over there. She makes great masticholi. Excellent masticholi.
Okay, so masticholi. Okay, you have hers, and then you have Olive Garden's masticholi. Can you just be like, you know what, Olive Garden, make that? I want that. No, because it
there's
doesn't
a
have
touch.
the ingredients.
There's
It
a
doesn't
touch.
have the juice. It doesn't have the culture.
He's
It doesn't
cooking.
have what it takes. It just doesn't have it. And that's what's right now with the Detroit Pistons. You add a couple more ingredients. You get Nona in the back in the kitchen for Olive Garden. Huh. All right, now we might be making a difference. But
Hey.
right now, the ingredients are missing. The sauce is gone. As
Hey,
Michael
I know someone that maybe
you lose a
someone that
recipe.
I know someone that's growing into a hell of a chef. That's what he's gonna start locking in. All right, I'm
did
telling you right
not.
now. Yep. Mhm.
Every chef needs a great sous chef. Needs a great
Hey.
waitress, a great waiter, a great busboy.
Yeah.
You need a
Yeah.
team, man. You need a team around you, buddy.
Tobias Harris. I'm just.
You got a good
What was
bar,
the
by
argument?
the way.
What was the argument with Sean I had earlier? What was that? That Tobias was going to come
Yeah.
in and be like the second. He's your second best player, and you can win with, like, if Tobias Harris is your second best player, dude. I promise you, you're not winning anything. He was the 4th option in Philly, and what did they do?
He dropped the
They
donut.
lost.
I get that.
Yeah, like that's my point. Is he's your second best player now? If other guys step up and like Jay and Ivy, like, okay, but you brought in Tobias to be your second best leading scorer, buddy. I'm telling you what, you're winning 20-something games. They know it.
But when you guys were arguing how many wins Tobias Harris adds to the
Yeah,
Pistons,
he said he added like 40. It was crazy.
I think you're exaggerating, but yeah, he did.
Tobias
say that.
Harris argument is all time. Is all time.
I mean, dude,
40
Sean was
He
acting like
signs, like,
Tobias
the
was like
next
the
day, I
greatest
think.
thing since sliced bread.
No, Sean did say that you guys disagreed on the impact that Tobias Harris would have. He was a little more higher. You were.
He
But
said
I
like
will say
25 plus wins.
35 wins. It's all me and Caleb want, and I think that's what we're getting.
No,
served.
no, not 30, 35. 35 minimum. 35 minimum. That's that
He's
thing
right,
that you
Jeff.
did with Kyle Pitts.
He's right,
You
Jeff.
did that with Kyle Pitts. You tried to
Back
trick
it
us.
up.
35
right.
Back it
minimum.
up.
He's right, but I'm comfortable with 35.
35. You guys are at 35 minimum. No 30 to 30. If they hit 34,
Yeah.
I'm coming at both of your guys.
No. You
destroying
know
you.
what? Fuck it. No, we're standing on business, Caleb. No, we're fucking.
That's
we're
what I
going
thought.
No, we're going 35. And you know what?
All right.
It's getting served. It's getting
Yes,
served
sir.
up. Served up hot. Like
Jeff went to go see.
I'm not tipping after that meal. Ain't no
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Jeff thought
Can I
he was
interest you in
good.
23, 24, 6, and 6? Can I interest you?
Wait,
I mean,
what?
that's what Cade Cunningham's going to do this year. So I'll get you that.
Repeat that.
Yeah, he
Run
will.
it back.
It doesn't come with wins.
I need
though.
this for my notes.
I think.
Give me 27, 5, and 7.
You want to credit Brock that as well?
I'm with Caleb. I think Cade
I'm
goes
gonna
crazy
go
this year.
25. I'm gonna go 25, 6, and 7.
I'm with you guys. Actually, I agree with your guys' take on Cade. I think
I'm
Cade
gonna
has
go
a big
25,
year.
6, and 7.
How
Just
much
don't
did he
think
average last year, Hefe?
I don't
23.
need to look it up. I don't need to look it
23?
up.
No, I'm wrong. 22.
It's okay, Caleb. You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what?
You
You don't
got
need
you.
to.
Let me pull
He
it
was a
up.
20
It don't even matter. It don't even matter.
I'll give him 25, 6, and 6. How about that?
Love
All right
that. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Give him an extra
Well,
tray ball each game.
Only the Pistons make us go a little overtime here. You know what? It's a good show, dude. Good show. Appreciate you all, man. Great discussions today, Maxx Crosby. All right. We got a lot of Maxx Crosby. Lions, Vikings.
1.2 mil. Go check out social media. Good shit.
That's
man.
wild. That it banged. CBS Sports put it out. I saw someone put Nick Merckx liked it. I don't even watch Nick
CBS
Merckx.
Sports.
Just jump to 1.3 mil.
That's huge. Until tomorrow, guys. Friday show. Can't wait for it. Klotzy's out, but Caleb's gonna be holding it down. Klotzy, we'll see you back. We'll see you on Sunday, Klotzy, for the pregame.
Hey, I'm gonna give Caleb my Lions pick. Caleb, I want you to present it in a great manner. I want you to be confident with it, deliver with excellence, make me proud. I got faith in you.
Got you.
All right, there you go. All right, we'll catch you guys tomorrow, man. Appreciate the support. We're about 150 away from 10K. I mean, we're right there. So appreciate it, you all.
Yeah.
We'll catch you tomorrow. Deuces.
Peace.